Hello, and welcome to the Mild and Lazy Guys podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And on today's episode, we've got a loaded junk mail segment for you. We've got a double dose of Mount Rushmore with our favorite sandwich shops and our favorite frozen pizzas. We've got Pick Your Poison. Of course, we've got a movie review for you. We reviewed the 1994 Disney film Camp Nowhere. We've got sports. We're going to talk about a little Dallas Mavs, a little Cowboys, a little college football, and then we're going to wrap it up, of course, with what are we watching and what are we listening to, and we may even tease a couple new segments. But before we get started, if I could I get you to please rate and review us if you haven't already on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and please give us a follow on Instagram at Mild and Lazy. So what's up, man?
Oh, you ever have those days where like you make plans, everything sounds good, and then nothing goes according to plan?
Oh yeah,
like all the time, right?
It's like my life.
On your days off. Yeah. So that was the plan on Monday. We were gonna go to Forever Young Records.
I was gonna ask how all that went.
You'll find out. And we were gonna go to Texas Roadhouse. Had a gift card, so on the way, yeah, we had great lunch. We were gonna just shop for records, so. Before we leave, we're kind of thinking like, well, fuck, man, Grand Prairie's kind of far, and start talking yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Claire's like, well, let's just go to Mansfield. That's where Texas Roadhouse is. They have a half-price book. We can look at records there. So we take her car. I'm driving, of course, and I don't have my sunglasses, so I have to like wear like her extra diva, like wing-tipped turquoise with like pink shaded sunglasses.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, dude, I get like headaches, man, when that sun comes out. Like I got sensitive eyes. So driving to Mansfield, and I'm at the point like I don't know where Texas Roadhouse is. I just know it's here. So I'm in like this. Come up to a red light. I'm on the service road. There's 3 lanes. Sometimes it's like okay, middle lane. It's either like straight or it's like turn left.
Yep.
So I'm like I don't know. So I'm like I'm just gonna stay in the middle lane, and then I don't know if I need to turn or what. Well, I did need to turn it. Middle lane's straight only. Left lane's left only. Right lane's right only. So I just stop in the middle of the right lane, put my blinker on, because there's only a couple cars, right? There's like 4 cars coming, 1 car behind me. No one's in the right lane. So I was like, okay, someone's going to just let me in real quick, and I'll make it through the light. So I'm sitting there for just a couple seconds, and the guy behind me just starts laying on his horn, like just laying on his horn. I look back, he's flipping me off all aggressively because I'm sitting in this lane for a good 5 seconds. And I look over, right lane's clear, man. I'm like, go around me. Like, just put your blinker on and go straight through the line. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like, he's not going to get away with that. So, right before the light turns yellow, he finally goes around me. I just straight gun it. I go through the light with him. And as he's like, he probably thought, like, clean getaway. He's turning into this, I don't know if it's like a Starbucks now. And I gun it, pull up right to him. I lay on my horn. He makes eye contact. I make like my... was it Michael Scott gangster face, and I'm flipping him off, and I feel like I'm such a badass, I'm so tough, driving away, and then I look up in the mirror, and I'm wearing my diva sunglasses, I got my hair pulled back in a ponytail, and I'll tell Claire, I was like, I look like a bearded Thelma or Louise right now, like, I thought I was so cool, so tough, and yet I just look like a bearded lady who's, like, super aggressive, so we just got a good laugh out of that, and then, so, Texas Roadhouse. We were like, oh, the whole way we're like, this is going to be so good. We're looking up the menu.
Got some rolls, cinnamon butter.
We had a $50 gift card, so we're like, oh, dude, we're going to get appetizers. We're going to get a steak. So we get there at like 11:30 or whatever. They don't open until 3 o'clock. It's like dinner only. 3 o'clock to like 10 o'clock is their hours.
I knew that, but I didn't remember that until you just said something right now.
I would have never thought that. So we had to call an audible. Didn't go to Forever Young. We went to Half Price Books. Didn't go to Texas Roadhouse. We went to On the Border. On the Border's still solid though. Like that was all good, but at Half Price Books, no good record selection at all. Like it was all like
old stuff, right?
Old like Christmas records, or terrible soundtracks. But I did get a Fuji CD, Grateful Dead, and a NASCAR Monopoly board game.
Nice.
So it's still a win. So we just went to a couple stores there, and then like just came back in town. But yeah, we had this day planned out. Nothing went according to plan. We had to call an audible on everything. But it was still a good time. Anytime your day off, you're not working, it's a pretty good day. And then I went to my dad's this past week when we couldn't record and had all these grand plans of fixing my truck up. I was going to help him fix up my sister's car. Nothing happened. Like everything failed. My dad was so pissed off. He was just like throwing stuff around and cussing because we couldn't accomplish anything. We ended up just going to Wendy's and getting lunch and just hanging out. And I watched some of the Euro tournament there, which pissed my dad off more because he hates soccer. I made him watch soccer with me because we couldn't accomplish anything.
That's
But
still a win.
Didn't accomplish anything like all week, but here I am with you. That's good.
That's still a win, I guess.
That's a win in my book. that I don't have.
Yeah, same. I mean, nothing really going on. We've been taking Landry lately to the public pool here, like up at the Optimist.
The Patrick?
Yeah,
off Water Street?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right
yeah,
by
dude,
the
it's not a bad deal, man.
They
redid it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a slide and stuff.
They
now?
got like 3 slides now.
Sweet.
It's not a bad deal. Like you get in for me, Lauren, and Landry get in for $13.
Like all day pass?
Yeah, all day, and then you can bring a cooler. I don't know about alcohol. I don't know.
What are they going to do?
But you can bring a cooler, so you can pack a lunch. You know, you can spend a few hours there.
I thought it was totally free. I didn't realize you had to pay. It's
No, it's not
I thought
free.
It was a public pool.
Even at public pools, you got to pay.
I don't pay to go to the public park or the public schools or public
Hey,
library.
man, I don't make the rules.
That's true.
Yeah, so we did that a couple days last week. It's a good way to kill a couple hours. And then Landry had his second baseball game. It was better. We got the W.
Nice.
Landry went 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored.
Little Mike Trout.
Stayed on the baselines, so we worked on the baselines.
Let the bat go when he made
Let the
contact.
bat go. He didn't.
Dude, that's progress.
He didn't wield it through the infield like a fucking madman like last time. Yeah, other than that, just hanging out. I got him playing Battlefield, and he's a psycho. Like, he just wants to stab people. I'm like, you
Jesus.
realize you have a gun, right? He's like, nah, I just want to stab him, Dad. Where's my knife?
Oh, my God. We'll
So,
monitor that situation.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. But yeah, just work and can I get something off my chest? I hear and I'm not in my car very much, just to and from work and maybe if I leave for lunch, but it's always on the fan because I'm not in my car long enough to like hook up my phone, find something on Spotify or start a podcast. So it's just on the fan, which is sports radio if you guys aren't in Dallas.
105.3.
And I always catch it like in commercial break, and there's this one commercial that always just kind of bugs me, and they're talking about like not leaving your kids in the car.
Oh, but to set a reminder on your phone.
To set a reminder on
Yeah, because your phone's important enough to remember to check that.
Or they say put something in the back that's important for a reminder, and I'm like, put like something in the back, like I don't know, like your fucking child.
Yeah, like the most important thing in your
like
world.
is that where we're at?
I've
Like,
seen that where they were like, always check your phone for a reminder. Don't forget your kid. It's like, yeah,
if you
check
need
your
a
phone, but don't check for your
if you
kid.
need a reminder to remember your kid, you shouldn't have them. There should seriously be tests to if you're fit for parenthood.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The something in the back that's important is your child. Like it just irks me every time I hear it.
Yeah, you're gonna hear them for a few more months too
because
they'll give you the statistics, and it's very sad. But it's like, I mean, you got to be a fucking idiot to do that. I think some people do it on purpose. I'm not saying all of them do, but certain cases, I could never like forget about my kid in the car. Well, first of all, our kids are old enough where they're talking to us the whole time. You know,
I won't forget him.
I picked up Ellie from daycare today. First thing she wanted to do is play Mario Kart. So we're talking about what characters we're gonna be.
Yeah,
I had to be Baby Mario to her Baby Peach. But the whole time she's just talking
Seems
about...
fair.
Yeah. She wants to know, like, what characters have we not unlocked yet and all this. So we're having conversations, obviously deep intellectual conversations the whole way home.
Yep.
But I guess it's like... if
Some
your
real
kid's
Mensa
like,
stuff there.
I guess if it's like your kid's like a baby or not quite talkative yet, but then it's like, if you're a good parent, your kid's pretty much always on your mind when you're trying to, go to and from somewhere.
It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. So with that said, let's get on to the junk mail segment. All right, and to start off the junk mail, we're gonna freestyle a little bit this week. We don't have anything printed out. We're not really gonna look at our phones. We're just gonna kind of bring up some topics. No, you can look at to bring for facts.
Just pulled one up. Yeah.
So if you hadn't seen, Tour de France is going on this year, or right now. And did you see the lady that caused the crash with the sign?
Yeah, I saw her trying to stick her big fat elbows out there to give a shout out to Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, so this lady they're on, Tour de France, it's a road race, so they're on the side of the road.
For those who don't know, it's a bicycle race in France.
Yeah, Lance Armstrong cheated like 7 times and won it.
Well, he lost a nut, so maybe he deserved 1 or 2 of those.
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right, we come to
We
conclusion.
digress.
Fuck him.
So they're coming through, and there's spectators lining the road, and there's this lady with a huge, was it yellow sign, orange sign?
Yeah, it was very bright to get your attention.
And she is just like sticking out in the road, and she hits one guy, and they're all clumped together. They're all grouped together.
Yeah.
So it's a domino effect. One guy hits her, and then it caused a major pileup. Like one dude, I think 3 dudes ended up going to the hospital that day. Another 2 finished the stage and then had to go to the hospital the next day. She fled the scene. Well, Interpol got involved. And do we really have nothing better to do for Interpol to do than to go track down the sign lady?
I think it was just like everyone was just so intrigued as to conclusion, because once I saw it's like, oh, this idiot, she caused a crash. That's one thing, but then it's like, and then she fled the scene and she can't be found. And it's like, well, now you kind of got my attention.
Well, they found her like holed up somewhere, like
yeah,
in
like
northern
she's like
France.
Osama bin Laden style,
Yeah.
like she fled, like tried to flee the country and
Like you
couldn't
didn't
get out.
You didn't bomb anybody. You
I
just
know.
caused an
That's
accident.
why I was like, I'm pretty sure they just want like an apology. Like I don't think they're gonna press charges. Like what
Well,
would the charge be?
They are going to press charges.
Interfering with a bicycling contest?
Fuck, I don't know. They take that shit seriously, apparently.
Apparently, very serious.
But she
Like,
could be
to
sued.
me, it's more embarrassing than anything.
She
Like,
could be sued, like if some of the riders have more than like 3 months worth of like. I read it, and this is why we usually print stuff out and have it ready to go. But if they're out like longer than 3 months and they lose like income, then she could potentially be sued.
Well, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that, but if you're costing someone money because of your actions and they can't make a living, was that like punitive damages?
I think so.
Then she could be held like liable.
Here's
for
an
that.
idea. Just scoot everybody back a good 6 feet.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I mean, she was like, you could tell like where the fan line was, and she had half her body sticking out with her arms extended to hold this sign out.
He
That basically
demolished
said
her.
like, "Hey, Grandma and Grandpa."
Yeah, that's all it said.
And it just caused like this international
That guy
like,
demolished
surge.
her.
Oh yeah, she got pounded down. That didn't sound good.
Hi-oh.
She got railroaded over.
Hi-oh.
But yeah, the domino effect was pretty clear. Then they had like aerial footage, so
And
it's
you
like
just
you could
see
just see
all these
guys
bites.
eating shit. Yeah, going down. But the best part, just to say hi to Grandma and Grandpa, and then tried to flee the country, and Interpol got involved. So that alone makes it newsworthy.
Yeah, it was crazy scenes. So our next story, let's talk about Bill Cosby, because Bill Cosby,
That's a weird segue, but
mark that off your bingo card. Bill Cosby is getting released. All his charges have been dropped.
yep. This was like breaking news today from Reuters. This is Bill Cosby, home from prison after court reverses sexual assault conviction. He was freed from prison and returned home on Wednesday, less than 2 hours after Pennsylvania's highest court overturned his sexual assault conviction, saying he never should have faced charges after striking a non-prosecution deal with the previous district attorney more than 15 years ago. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court issued a split decision after Cosby served more than 2 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence following his 2018 conviction, prompting outrage from sexual assault victims and their advocates. He was basically, as soon as he got word, they said like hours later, he was already at his, how did they describe it? Around an hour later, he arrived at his stately stoned mansion in Elkins Park, a Philadelphia suburb. So it's just bullshit that, because to make that deal 15 years ago, there had to have been like an admission of guilt. It's kind of like a non-disclosure agreement. Like, you fucked up, but we're not going to talk about it. You're going to sign this document. So he got this sweetheart deal.
Well, I think it's one of those deals where like, yeah, it's just, if it wasn't Bill Cosby, and I think now it's gonna make people more upset now because of all the stuff that's come out. Harvey Weinstein,
Weinstein?
that
was a Steen.
Weinstein. Steinstein. I don't know.
Bernstein Bears. Think about that one.
I know. I've thought about it.
That's a Mandela effect
Yeah,
right there.
it really is. Jeffrey Epstein, all this stuff that's coming out about Hollywood,
Well, if
when
you're
there's
rich
smoke,
and
there's-
powerful, yeah, you can obviously cut tremendous deals that normal people just can't.
I think it's hard for a lot of people to wrap their mind around it because Bill Cosby was like a father figure to a lot of people in the 80s.
That must have
and
been a
90s.
different generation, because to me, I've seen reruns of Cosby Show growing up, and I remember him like always selling pudding pops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I don't care if it was like, you know, name your favorite person growing up, like Robin Williams or Troy Aikman. I was like, if they, you know, drugged women and raped them, fuck them, man. They should die in prison.
Yeah.
There's nobody that I think is above, you know, like they said, no one's above the law, but we know plenty of people with money are above the law. But, you know, it's like, I understand he was like America's father at one point with that show, but it's like, yeah. And during that time, he was drugging and raping women. So why are we even still talking about it? Like, he should already be, you know,
And
he should be dying in prison right now.
Let's be honest. Like, what are you doing at your house that you aren't doing in jail? Well, how old is he? Like 80 something?
He said he was 83, yeah.
83. Dude, you're sitting around drooling on yourself. Like, you could do that in prison. You don't deserve to. No.
No, he's probably got, you know, new bed sheets. He's watching TV right now.
Fuck that guy. Anyway.
He should at least be like, you know, house arrest for the remainder of his 7-year sentence.
Yeah, you're going to stay here.
Because it was 3 to 10. He served 2. You know, like, okay, well then for the rest of the term, you're stuck here. Like, no one wants to go to fucking Whole Foods and see Bill Cosby.
No, especially women.
Yeah, exactly. And like they said, like all the victims and the advocates, like, I mean, that's just got to be infuriating, man. Because for decades he went like unchecked. You know, he did that. You know, since the 80s that we know of, 80s, 90s, 2000s, the aughts, which, you know, I guess is what they call them, until he finally got convicted. It's like he had decades run of drugging and raping women that he got away with it.
And that's
finally
usually
got caught, and then he served like 2 years.
And that's usually how it goes. Look at Sandusky. He had decades and decades of grooming, and
he's never getting out though.
No.
And same thing with the Michigan or the damn, what was that little Poindexter? He was the for the Olympic gymnastics team.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nacier.
Yep.
Like same thing. Like they said, he had like hundreds of victims, dude. Over like his wasn't as long, so that just means he was just like
it was more prolific.
Yeah, which is still extremely fucked up. But yeah, it's like they do that. They get hundreds of charges, so they should stay in for hundreds of years until they die.
I think they should let him out in Gen Pop.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the lowest. When you're talking about young girls, you know, little girls, fuck that. Cut their nuts off and let them bleed out.
I'm cool with that.
All right, something a little lighter.
Yeah, other than cutting their nuts off, letting them bleed out.
Did you hear the Ben Zobrist story?
Yeah, I did. That's kind of not a great segue because it's not like a happy story.
No, but
this is a pretty shitty story
it's
too.
Lighter. It's lighter than
compared to what we're going
bloodletting
from.
Somebody.
We're going from like Wesley Snipes dark to like Jamie Foxx dark. Jamie Foxx dark.
Okay.
Still pretty dark.
In case you don't know, Ben Zobrist, he is a former baseball player. He was the 2016 World Series MVP. He has made a claim against his former pastor that him and his wife had an affair.
Zobrist's wife
and the pastor had been having an affair.
For what, like a year or two?
For a year. Yep. So the 2016 World Series MVP made the claim against Forrest Crane and co-CEO Brian Yon in a May lawsuit that the Journal Star reported Monday. Zobrist claimed his wife and Yon had an affair while Yon was their pastor at Community Bible Church in Nashville. According to the paper, Yon served as the couple's pre- and post-marital counselor, and he had, So damn. This dude, he was the one who suggested that he give his wife space.
Yeah, so he could fuck her.
He could slide in.
Yeah, piece of shit.
Pipe her down.
That's a classy way to put it. Hey, why don't you take some space away so I can pipe her down?
So give your wife this pipe.
Good suggestion. Try to smooth talk your wife tonight. Ask her if she wants a good piping down.
Hey, you want to get piped?
See how that goes.
I can already tell you it won't work. Jan served as the couple's pre- and post-marital counselor, and that he and Juliana had started talking more in 2018 and then had a sexual relationship in 2019. Jan's wife, Robin, so the pastor's wife, reportedly found prepaid phones that the two were using to contact. So this isn't like, whenever we see each other, like they
got burner accounts.
They got burner phones.
Probably like met up at all these secret places.
Seedy motels.
Hey, you know what? I wish I was lucky enough to marry a World Series MVP.
Dude, and she's a smoke show.
Well, I bet. Yeah, he's a World Series.
She's a smoke show, and he looks like he should be working at UPS.
Fuck UPS.
Fuck UPS. Shout out. Fuck UPS. Fuck you.
Matt's a little angry today if you can't tell over something that didn't come in the mail or by the UPS. Post office would deliver that.
That's
for
what
you,
I
bud.
said. I said the
Post office would've had
USPS
it.
wouldn't have let me down like this.
If it came through us, you could have just texted me. I would have gotten it for you.
Yeah,
I would have
no.
like signed for it or taken possession and brought it over.
Yeah, see? Smoke show.
She got horse teeth. I don't know, man.
That's a bad angle. She's a smoke
As
show.
if I'm like a total 10 over here
You're a
judging
bit-
her.
you-
You know what? She's a cheating bitch, so she's ugly. That's
You
what I
described
say.
yourself as a bearded lady earlier,
Look
so
at Zobrist. Look at that beautiful smile of his. She doesn't deserve you, Ben.
Jan's wife, Robin, reportedly found 4 prepaid phones, and she alerted the former major league player of the alleged affair, initially believing that they were in an emotional relationship. Juliana Zobrist would later admit to having the sexual relationship in June 2020 via their divorce proceedings. Jan is also accused of having Zobrist sign autographs, get baseball tickets for games, host events at his home, and send personal messages to newly baptized members of the church.
Well,
So not only are you fucking my wife, but you have me signing autographs, tickets, all this for the church.
exploiting his fame,
Yeah.
for the gain of the church. Well, the best part is, and I'm no divorce attorney, but even without a prenup, I would think if she's the one having the affair, he can just cut her off and be
Hopefully.
like, yeah, because I would imagine a guy like that. I mean, we've talked about it. Even if you're a low level like bench player, $30 million in the bank at least. He probably
Hopefully.
signed a couple of contracts. Tens
Yeah.
of millions would say. I'd say, okay, well, have fun with Forrest. You know, like Ben Zobrist can go get whoever he wants now.
So get this.
And deservingly so, he should get him a nice lady.
Get this. The suit also claimed that Jan received $3,500 monthly checks from a nonprofit Zobrist founded for 2 months after he was fired as the executive director. So all that, he got his wife, he got all the perks of him being famous,
Damn.
plus $3,500 a month.
That guy sounds like a true piece of shit.
So Ben Zobrist in May 2019 filed for legal separation from Juliana, alleging that she, quote, has been guilty of inappropriate marital conduct, unquote. According to the Tennessean, he filed for separation in Tennessee, while Juliana filed for divorce in Illinois, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Zobrist at the time took a leave of absence from baseball. He rejoined the Cubs in September 2019 and would later retire at the conclusion of the 2019 season. Juliana Zobrist, a Christian pop singer, has sung the national anthem at several Cubs games.
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
sure
past,
she's so good.
and performed God Bless America before a 2016 World Series game at Wrigley Field.
I'm not going to say that word. What a bitch.
What a C word.
What a C word.
You want me to say it for you?
Say
I'll
it,
say
dude.
it. What a cunt.
What a see you next Tuesday.
Cunt. So you're ruining it for all these good ladies that are out there. Fucking the pastor, huh?
That's-
Pastor's like, hey, you know what? Just take some
I
time.
guess you could say you put the Holy Spirit in her.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I don't have many Christian jokes.
Did
He gave her the Trinity and the pink, 2 on the pink and 1 on the stink. Is that the Holy Trinity?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's coming from a pastor.
Did he give her his holy water?
Yeah, all over her
Face.
Oh, Matt went dirty on that one. Okay.
All right, moving on. And with that, let's move on to our Mount Rushmore segment.
Now this is a much lighter.
This is a much lighter.
This is much lighter. We're talking about sandwiches.
I'm about to talk about so passionately about something, it's going to blow your minds. But as I mentioned, we're going to give you a bonus Mount Rushmore, but we're going to start with our favorite sandwich shops. And we're not talking burgers, we're not talking anything like that.
This gotta be a sandwich.
This is our favorite sandwich shops. Some are local, some are national chains.
Yeah, I saw your list, and yours is like
It's
just by reckoning. I would say yours is probably better.
no. As long as we can agree
stick to like the core, like 2 or 3.
As long as we can agree on
Like
our
Jersey
number
Mike's
one.
is number 1.
Jersey Mike's is
For
number
always.
1.
Always.
We're gonna spoil it. Jersey Mike's is on both of our lists. It easily number 1.
Easily.
And if you've never had Jersey Mike's,
What are you doing?
you need to go to Jersey Mike's and get you a number 13.
They got them in New Jersey. There's a couple down here.
The original Italian.
Yep.
You
number
got to get it
13.
Mike's way.
Yep. Always.
I always add mayonnaise, but the oil and the vinegar, the red wine vinegar, is what sets it off. It is so good.
And like when you order it, so they have like the counter behind it, like the glass counter, and they'll be like, they'll take the meats out and the cheese, and they'll start shaving it right.
And they
there in
shave
front
it
of
for
you.
your sandwich.
Yeah, they were like, oh, they're making my sandwich right now. So it's not like Subway where they just pick up cold cuts.
Speaking of Subway, did you read that their tuna sandwich
not tuna?
doesn't have any tuna DNA in it?
Any, like 0%.
So what are you serving?
I just put on here. No, I won't give it away yet.
What are you serving me? Another reason why
tuna.
Subway is a garbage. They're trash cans.
Yeah.
Set them on fire. Don't
What sucks
anybody
is
set them on fire.
when it comes to like market share of that space, they dominate it.
Well, because
And they're like the official sandwich, or they're I think they're actually the official like sponsor, not even sandwich, of like the NFL.
I'm sure they are. And the same people who keep Subway open are the same people that think Denny's is good and fucking Olive Garden and Chili's.
I knew you're gonna go Olive Garden. You've been railing against Olive Garden for like a year.
It's not good.
And their previous spokesman turned out to be a huge pedophile sex offender.
Because people have this tendency to just want to shove garbage food in their mouth.
Well, also what I think with Subway is like there's just locations everywhere. They probably have 1,000 locations, whereas Jersey Mike's is just now trying to catch up to those numbers.
I'll drive for Jersey Mike's.
Oh yeah, I will too. Don't get me wrong.
So Jersey Mike's,
Jersey
that's on
Mike's.
ours. Why don't you give me your next one?
No more for me. We got it coming in soon. It's Firehouse Subs.
I love Firehouse.
I looked on their menu for all these so I could give out some of my favorites because we're
Okay.
like total fat kids here. Their new one they have come out, it's the pepperoni pizza meatball. We're gonna go get that. The hook and ladder is always good.
Hook and ladder.
And the Italian.
Italian's good. I like the is it the Firehouse Club, I think?
Yeah.
Or Club on a Sub, that's what it is.
Yeah, they have
Club
like
on a
clever
Sub.
little like pun names and stuff. And
Yeah.
before they had like their smorgasbord of like sauces. Like I don't know if they'll still do that.
I don't
I know
know.
they didn't like during like in the last year, but surely it'll come back. Just put a cap on it.
Yeah.
Because that was always my favorite. I'd pick out like 4 sauces and go sit down and just like put them on each. I wouldn't like I'm dousing it like I'm just got a witch's pot right here.
I
I'm
wish
putting all these
we had
seasonings in.
video because you've got
I look
this
like I'm
motion.
jacking off all these
2
dicks on my
dicks.
face. Okay, well I'm putting sauces on a sandwich, Matt. Okay, I'm
no,
not Ben Zober's wife.
you're jerking off 2 dicks.
2 dicks, not one but 2. One on each cheek on my
You're
face.
milking those bad boys real
Okay,
good.
well, that was an unexpected turn because I was just eating an imaginary sandwich with extra sauce.
Yeah, extra sauce.
Don't make a cum joke, dude.
All right, Firehouse is mine too, or on my list too. It's great, and they're all hot. So
Yeah.
except they do have like I think they have chicken salad and tuna. But
I would
who goes there
try
for
the
that?
tuna. Jersey Mike's has good tuna too.
Don't know. I always get the same thing.
I mix it up. I got their Philly cheesesteak once, and I know you had before, and it wasn't that great. Yeah,
No, I don't love them. I got to give them tough love when they deserve it. It was lacking.
I didn't like it at all.
It was
actually.
lacking.
Like I got it one time, and I remember being like so disappointed because for us, I'm not going to tell you like the town's like how far it is, but it's a good 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
Out of our way, maybe even 20. And I got that cheesesteak once and brought it home, and it was just like heartbreaking because I was like, I wasted my one Jersey Mike's opportunity like for this month or whatever. I was just so heartbroken. So
Yeah,
that's why I do. It's good to stick to what you like.
I got it time before last. I got it. It wasn't very good.
No.
My third
Number 3?
third one is Jimmy John's.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. I get their Italian nightclub, just kind of like Jersey Mike's.
Nightclub?
Yeah, Italian nightclub because it's got all the Italian meats and they put oil and vinegar on it. It's very good. Very good substitute.
It's hard to mess up like a good Italian.
Well, it's very good when I want a sandwich, but I can't, like on my lunch break, and I can't drive to Midlothian, but I can go right there in town.
So there's no lettuce on it because usually it's just lettuce.
You can
and
get
bread.
lettuce and tomato.
Yeah, they put about 4 handfuls of lettuce.
Oh, I don't know. What's
Every
a
time I
handful?
go there, it's about 2 slices of meat, Andre the Giant size portions of lettuce. Mushed
Okay,
in between
I got
bread.
something for you. Why don't you say, hey, man, easy lettuce?
I'll say no lettuce.
Or no
and then it'll
lettuce.
just be a bread sandwich because that's all they put on is lettuce.
Okay, you're throwing a lot of hate right now.
This is your list.
You know
I'm
what?
sorry.
Before we do food, Mount Rushmore's, I have to eat before I come over here because I'm fat and I'm salivating.
Oh, dude, I ate a big meal. We had leftovers from that crock pot meal the other day.
Damn.
So good.
Dude, I'm so hungry. Yeah, Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's
It's
number
quick.
3.
It's easy. It's right here in town. Usually never lets me down. All right, what's your number 3?
Number 3 for me is Schlotzsky's. Also here in town. They got that sourdough bread. I usually go with the deluxe original. Don't get the original. You pay like an extra $1 and you get the deluxe, and it's like twice the amount of meat and cheese on it. It's ridiculous.
You want to talk about lettuce?
They have shredded lettuce and they put onions and black olives on theirs, bro.
I give them props for the black olives.
No, if you get the deluxe, I guarantee you, I'll take a picture next time, and it is like 75%.
If Jimmy John's uses 2 Andre the Giant handfuls, Schlotsky uses 3.
No, they don't.
It's a salad sandwich, bro.
No, now you're just going off of my shtick, trying to get back at me. It's not gonna work.
No,
Schlotsky's is so much better, dude. And it's not. And you know what? Schlotsky's Austin-based here in Texas. Where's Jimmy John's from? You don't even know.
Fuck, I don't know. You're gonna make me look it up. All right. Got anything else to fucking say about Schlotsky's?
Yeah. Funny name, serious sandwich. How about that?
You're such a corporate whore.
I want endorsements, man. I want free sandwiches.
You're such a corporate whore. Okay, my fourth one, it is, I don't know the history of it. I know they're popping up around Dallas, and I would have guessed from the name where they started. But they're up in Dallas. The one I go to is over by SMU. It's called East Hampton Sandwich Company.
Oh, I think it's from East Hampton, yeah.
Yeah, I would guess it's from East Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a damn good Philly?
Yeah, dude, I love Phillies.
They have a phenomenal Philly. Probably top 2 or 3 Phillies I've ever had. And then they serve these little shoestring fries, and they're crispy, and they're just amazing. And then they obviously they're known for their lobster rolls, so you can go in there and get a lobster roll. And then they have all different kinds of salads and sandwiches. But their Philly from there is phenomenal. It's very good.
Where'd you say it was?
Up by SMU. There's a location up by SMU. Like literally, you could see part of the SMU campus from the door.
So is it expensive? I picture it being expensive.
If
it caters to them.
I think you can get out of there with the Philly fries and a drink for like $11.
I was gonna say if it's under 12, I'm in.
11,
That's
12
a whole
bucks,
big
somewhere in
meal
there.
right there. That's feeding big dog over here, so that's good for me.
All right, so what's your fourth one?
My last one is a more local spot. I think they might only have the one location here in downtown Waxahachie, but it's Farm Luck. And it's just really cool inside. Reminds you like an old soda shop from like the 50s, you know, like all brick. One whole side is nothing but like windows. It's got a nice like few seats inside. It's got like a bar right there that you could sit at. Maybe it just has where you order at that bar. But anyways, it's just like generic. I always get like a club sandwich, and we'll split like a cup of soup. You know, they got cookies, brownies, so it's, and like, you know, soda pop. So it's like real just basic, just sandwiches, soups, treats, and soda.
No, it's very good. It's local. I've never really had anything bad out of there. They have a very good chicken Caesar wrap.
Yeah, Claire always gets like chicken, what's it called? Chicken salad sandwiches?
Chicken salad. They have 2 versions. They have like one like my mom would make where it's just like the chicken salad with like onion, celery, and all that. But then they have the one that my wife would get, which has fruit in it, which that's a big no-no.
No. See, like when I make tuna, we do it 2 different ways. I'll boil an egg, put that up. I'll put in an onion, olives, jalapenos, and Claire's like apples and grapes. And I'm like, that's exactly
the way we do it. Lauren likes all the crap, fruit in it. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, like fruits and nuts, and I'm like,
yeah.
No. And I'm the guy that's like, no, you got to boil an egg, you got to chop up an onion, and she is not about any of that.
Jimmy John's started in Charleston, Illinois, out of a garage.
Well, that's cool, I guess.
Yep.
Sounds like why their sandwiches taste like shit, because they come straight from a garage. From a lettuce farm.
They're garage sandwiches.
Yeah. For me, I have dishonorable mention, and that would be Subway, which we cannot rail on enough.
Subway fucking sucks. It's
fake bread.
It's the Denny's of sandwiches.
Fake tuna. It's basically sugar bread. There's no.
Yeah, they're considered. They have to be considered pastries in Europe because it contains so much sugar.
And then my other one right here, I just put Jimmy John's lettuce sandwich. My brother-in-law swears by it. Like Dakota, he loves Jimmy John's, but I just don't think he's like been cultured like we are because he's too skinny.
Very true.
He's a little guy, so it's like we'd have to take him and like get him a real sandwich. Because I was like, like Jersey Mike's? Never been there. It's like you're sitting here defending Jimmy John's is like the absolute best. You've never been in Jersey Mike's?
No, Firehouse to me is above them. It's above Jimmy John's.
About to give you that stink eye.
No,
you know what?
Jersey Mike's is my forever one.
That's my ride or die.
That's my ride or die bitch right there. I've got some honorable mentions. Potbelly. Yeah. I was skeptical. Not bad. I mean, not bad, not great. Lauren took me there probably a few months ago. Not bad, not great. Pretty good. Better than Subway. Texadelphia. Texadelphia. It's anything cheesesteak. They got, regular ribeye cheesesteaks. They got chicken cheesesteaks. They serve like seasoned waffle fries. And then you can get like Philly fries where you take those seasoned waffle fries, some cheese, some Philly meat. Boom. They have like a ranch bar. They have different kinds of ranches. It's like self-serve. You get the little cup and you just get jalapeno ranch or olive oil ranch.
I've never heard of a ranch bar before.
No, dude,
that sounds like made for America.
It's fantastic. It's made for me. Dishonorable mention. Have you ever been to Witch Witch?
I was about to say, I forgot about Witch Witch.
That place for a combo will run you about $26.
That's why we don't.
I remember one of the first times me and Lauren ever kind of went out. We went to Witch Witch.
You're trying to impress her?
No, I didn't know. Oh, you want a sandwich? Yeah, sandwich is great. Walk in there. I order a sandwich for chips and a drink. She orders the same. And the dude was like, that'll be $36.83. I was like, excuse me?
I just ordered 2 sandwiches and 2
And
drinks.
you can ask Lauren. That was my legit reaction. I said, excuse me? But, I couldn't balk at that point because I hadn't sealed the deal with Lauren yet.
No problem. I got that cash.
Let me pull out the black card for this one. Fuck that place, dude. That's highway robbery.
And that's why no one goes to Witch Witch.
Dude, that's why I don't for sure go to Witch Witch.
Now, but they did get like 4 great sandwiches from Jersey Mike for that one
for
price.
Sure. But they did have a cool collab with the Mavs a couple years back. They had like a Dirk sandwich there, I'm pretty sure. I forget what it was called, but they did
was it like bratwurst and sauerkraut? I mean, what would be on that sandwich? Mooster cheese? Like, I don't
think you're looking for Munster.
Munster. I always say Moonster. Claire always corrects me, and I'm always wrong.
Oh, shit. Okay, so that was our favorite sandwich shops. Let's move
right along.
Let's move along to the.
That's about to just start eating like whatever's around them.
Our favorite frozen pizzas. This kind of got brought up the other night because Andrew.
I was bragging. Man.
He told me about this amazing meal he was gonna have, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably just gonna eat frozen pizza," because Lauren was at work, and when Lauren's at work, it's kind of just fend for yourself.
So instead of feeling pity for you, I was like, "So what's your choice? Like, what are you eating?"
Yeah. So
I had to know.
My number one, because you can't forget where you came from. You can't forget who was there for you when times were hard, and you could go in and you could get a pizza for 89 cents, and that is Totino's. Dude,
those are perfect for one person.
I love Totino's.
Like, I would always get like an extra slice of cheese, like a provolone slice, and put like on, like tear it in half and put it on there so it melts across. You just and for one person, like. Perfect, dude.
You can
like you said, under $1, you can.
Well, they're not that way anymore, but
like
back in the college days, they were under $1. That the 3 meat, the pepperoni, even the cheese.
The cheese, yeah, I probably prefer actually just cheese because I don't, that ain't real meat, dog.
Well,
that's dog meat, dog.
Neither is a hot dog, but I'll munch down some hot dogs, bro.
My dad always just calls them. And I'm like, yeah, we're eating hot dogs. Oh, you're having more lips and buttholes. Like,
exactly.
He's like, I'll never eat another hot dog. You watch a documentary or something. He's like, it's nothing but lips and buttholes. So
that's fine.
I'll just send him a picture and be like, this is some good lips and buttholes today.
So Totino's is no order, but that's the first one on my list.
It's on mine. But my first one, and again, can't forget your roots, like you said, because this is what we would always have at my house, at my grandma's house. Like, even today at our house, what we get is we're a Red Baron family.
Yeah.
I put dollar for dollar, it's the best value. They're like $3.50. You could dress them up a little bit extra, but they just have and they're all like a thin crust right there.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a bad Red Baron.
I've got Red Baron in the freezer at home.
See? And that's what you were having the other day. That's what brought this up. You're having a Red Baron.
That's my bougie pizza. When I can step it up a little.
I got a bougie one coming up.
Yeah, so do I.
Red Baron. I just said it's the best value. So it's like
Red Baron, man. That's on my list. So I guess the third one on my list was, and it's a surprising one, and I held out on this place as much as I could. The wife loves it, and that's Aldi.
Yeah, solid.
Dude,
I think everyone's wife loves Aldi. My wife loves Aldi.
Their pizza is good. They have egg rolls that are good. They have Chinese fried rice.
You're the one that got me onto that. Yeah, so every time we go, I'll get that.
So good.
Everything really from Aldi's good. I could give a whole endorsement right now for Aldi.
But
if you've never been, it's great.
I've learned
awkward the first time.
It can be hit or miss. Some of their stuff, like the pizza, the egg rolls, those are good. But I've had some things there that
man,
no way, no.
I'm not even a big hummus fan, or I wasn't until Claire started buying it. Am I saying that wrong too?
No.
I was like, Jesus,
no.
I'm not cultured at all. But so it turns out like I like all that hummus. We get extra, like they got all the dips there. They just have the equivalent of everything. You know, it's like a knockoff, or they even have name brand stuff there. So I completely agree with you. It's not on my list, but it would be on my honorable mention if I had honorable. But it's more dishonorable coming up. My second one, I just agreed. I'll just go back over. It was Tostino's as well. Third one for me is the California Pizza Kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I have that one.
I don't know if they're like just in Target. It seems like that's the only place I find them.
But I think they have an H-E-B maybe.
Okay, they have this Sicilian that's really good, and then they have one that's like with white, just like I think it's called like a white pizza.
Yep.
And it's just like garlic sauce, white cheese. I want to say there might be chicken in it, but it's like Parmesan on there, and it's delicious, dude.
CPK is pretty good.
You just appreciated CPK.
Yeah, dude. CPK, bro.
Right,
have you ever been to a location like a?
They have like a brick and mortar store.
Yeah, they do.
Of just
Pizzas.
California pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do they really have like those Twix factories where there's one that makes left Twix and one that makes right Twix?
I believe so. Yeah, that's correct as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you kind of hit my last one. My honorable mention, I only have one, and that would be Tony's. Have you ever had a Tony's pizza?
Of course.
Yeah, little guy, little
that stereotypical
typical Italian
with like
a
his
Chef
hat.
Boyardee ass looking on there.
It's like an orange box.
Yeah, yellow orange
Tony's
box.
Growing up, of
yeah,
course.
So I had Tony's. Have you ever been so poor? And I'm gonna jump you real quick and give my dishonorable. Have you ever had an Economax pizza?
Never heard of that.
It is prison grade pizza, and you can
called Economax.
Economax, like
Econo, okay.
like economy, like Economax. It's like blue with like a yellow ribbon at the top, and it says Economax in black.
Nope.
To this day, I think you can get one for like 79 cents.
Like a full size family pizza.
No, I think it's like a Totino size,
Okay.
but still, like it's prison pizza. It is terrible.
Well, that's a dishonorable.
That's a dishonorable.
My last one was and this is my bougie one. I got them. I only got them because there was a coupon from like HEB for like 2 for like $12 or whatever.
Holy shit
Yeah,
balls.
they're expensive. It's the Home Run Inn pizza.
I've never had those. Are they good?
Oh my god, they're so good, dude. I just put they are absolutely loaded. So we got like the whatever 3 meat it is, and you know most of the time it's like, oh, there's like 4 pepperonis here and a couple.
Yeah.
Of, no, dude, like you couldn't even see the cheese. Like it was just everything was just loaded. And then we got one that was like 4 cheese, and then when it came out, it just looked like like a fat kid like me would have made it. You know, like toppings galore.
Oh,
so they're expensive, but
All
if you
right,
get a
I may
coupon,
check that out.
Home Run Inn pizza, man. Try that out. And my last one, Dishonorable Discharge.
Please give it to me.
Dishonorable Discharge. Dishonorable mention.
Sounds like Ben Zober's preacher.
is DiGiorno. And I
Dude.
put it on here. We all know that shit ain't delivery.
Thank you. DiGiorno is
DiGiorno
overrated.
is so overrated, man. They had a great like slogan, and then they just like overtook the market. It's not DiGiorno, or it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. So in your head you're thinking it's like equivalent with delivery, but it's not. It's all shit. Even like their stuffed crust, like it never comes out crispy. It's like a doughy crust with like the cheese, and the toppings are just shit. The way it rises just looks like a little chunky boy pizza.
You know how you said like Jimmy John's is like a lettuce sandwich? This is just a dough pizza.
Yeah, it's all dough. That's what I'm saying. It's
Like
so
the
much
crust,
dough and crust.
like the crust comes like halfway down the pizza, so
Yeah.
you only get like 2 bites of like actual pizza,
and then you're at
and
the
then the
crust.
rest of it is the crust, and it's like the big bubbles. Fuck DiGiorno.
Yeah, it's all crust and dough.
DiGiorno and UPS are on my shit list this
and
week.
Olive Garden, always.
But that stays there.
Yeah, that's always
given.
up there.
All right, so those are our Mount Rushmores with our favorite sandwich shops and our favorite frozen pizzas. As always, please, y'all get involved if you can. Get on Instagram, give us your favorite frozen pizzas or your favorite sandwich shops, and we'd love to hear from you. I picked last week. I don't know why you're sitting up there. We're moving on.
I don't remember who picks these.
We're moving on to pick your poison. Andrew's gonna select. I got us
Okay.
back on track last week.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Would you rather not be able to see any colors or have mild but constant tinnitus? Ringing in the ears?
It's like a ringing in your ears.
That's what I just said, yeah.
Oh.
So you'd either be colorblind or you'd have constant ringing in your ears?
Well, I'm partially colorblind now, so I'll take that for 500, Alex.
Yeah, I could. I mean, the ringing in the ears just sounds constantly like torturous.
Like you'd end up killing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't deal with that all the time. I
Yeah.
gotta, like, even when you're like trying to sleep and you're just sitting there and you know it's just like ringing in your ears. I think colors are overrated. No, I'm just kidding. Let me get another one. Just
Okay. Yeah.
If you don't realize, we have a giant bowl. That one's That one's as long as that preacher's dick. I ain't reading that.
Man, we're getting our money's worth with this Ben Zobrist story.
Would you rather have unlimited sushi for life or unlimited tacos for life? Get the fuck out of here. Tacos for life. Are you absolutely
Tacos?
As much as there's a parentheses. Both are amazingly delicious and can be any type of sushi taco if you want. I hate sushi, so I love tacos. That's a no-brainer for me.
As I do love some sushi.
Just never got into it.
I like it.
I'm too old to try new things.
What are you, 70? You can try new
Almost
things.
halfway, dude.
You can try. I'm halfway there.
I said I'm almost. I'll be 34 in November.
As much as I like sushi, yeah, give me unlimited tacos for life.
No doubt. That's
Dude,
like
I love tacos.
Unless you're like some uppity girl, like
my body is built by tacos, bro.
yeah, I was gonna say, man, like I've had so many tacos in my life: hard tacos, soft tacos, fried tacos.
Dude, we have white people taco night at the house one time.
You want to talk about white? I put Miracle.
I know.
That's
I know.
white. That's extra white people tacos.
I know. I love any kind of taco I can get.
Yeah.
Except taco. I'm not desperate enough to eat a Taco Bell. Judge me if you want.
No, that's the Olive Garden. That's the Jimmy John's of taco places. Try Taco Casa if you haven't. If you want to get nice and fat like us,
you want to talk
to Taco Casa.
You want to talk about Andre the Giant size hands?
Dude,
the cheese.
I swear they don't even put lettuce on that thing. It is 80% meat, 20% cheese.
It may be 60%. They put a shit ton of cheese.
They do put a lot of cheese. Yeah, it's probably 60,
but it's good.
like you said.
But it's good.
But it's an awesome ratio.
I don't mind. All right,
Tacos for life.
With that, let's move on to our movie review. And we reviewed Camp Nowhere, a movie I kind of forgot about until Lauren.
I forgot all about it.
Was watching it a couple weeks ago. I was like, what is this? She was like, y'all should do it for the podcast. It's called Camp Nowhere. I was like, holy shit, I remember this. It was made in 1994. It only made $10.4 million at the box office. Didn't see what it cost to make, but
probably it'd be lucky to make its money back.
Christopher Lloyd couldn't have been that expensive.
He was coming off of Back to the Future and Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah. And I gotta say, and I have it written down, that dude, he could act, man.
I want to say he was like classically trained. He's one of those guys that's like just never caught a big break, so he just kind of got stereotyped. But I'm pretty sure he was like classically like Shakespearean trained.
Some of the acting and the characters he put on,
you could tell when he took all those characters.
They were great, man. He was awesome.
I got a couple notes. It was 18% Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes they feel pretentious to me.
Oh, of course they are. You find a movie that got 100%, and I guarantee I won't like it. You find a movie that got about 14%, we're in our wheelhouse. It was the film debut for Jessica Alba, who made Matt's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, she did.
And it also starred Allison Mack from sex cult NXIVM.
Yeah, if you don't
know, Matt wanted to give a shout out to NXIVM.
Shout out NXIVM.
Yeah, for some reason he insisted on shouting out NXIVM.
No, I'm not really shouting out NXIVM, but
check it out.
If you don't know what NXIVM is, it's NEXIVM.
It was led by like this guy named Keith Raniere, who was like a certified genius, but then he used it to like manipulate women.
Yeah, he was branding
and recruiting them. Yeah, he would literally. It wasn't like a brand. No. So I saw a documentary. It wasn't like a brand like you would think, like you heat up a spike. It was like this or it's a ray gun or something that they would like, take their time and like put this brand, and it would be like right up near their vaginas, and like they were branded now for life. But of course, the way they worded it was like, no, this is just like an exercise of like overcoming fears. And then they look at it and they kind of angle it, and it's his initials KR, and it's like he fucking branded me, like I'm a sex slave for him.
Yeah, and like Allison Mack, like isn't some like B actor at the time. I mean, she got really swindled.
She was
into this thing.
She was part of it. She wasn't like a victim though. But anyways, yeah. Take it away, Matt.
Okay.
I don't know where I was going.
All right, I thought you had another point on NXIVM.
I got nothing.
Okay, so we open the movie with almost a carbon copy scene from the movie Heavyweights.
Oh yeah, because I put on here, man. Just watching this, same thing. Like I wish I had gone to a summer camp as a '90s kid.
I mean, it's almost it's a dad and a camp recruiter in the living room, trying to recruit him.
That's what I put. Another camp recruiter. Like, is that a real thing? Like, he's in there and he is doing a hard sales pitch for this camp.
Yeah. So, Mud. His name's Morris, but they call him Mud. Mud's parents are trying to convince him to go to micro camp, which is a computer camp, and he kind of breaks. He didn't break the fourth wall, but we realize that there is kind of the fourth wall there. He looks at the camera and he's like, "Well, I forget what he said."
I think he said,
like,
"I'm in hell.
Kill me now." Yeah, kill me now. So we open up with that scene, and then we run into Mud and Walter at school, and they're chit-chatting, and they run into the school bully
Zach.
whose name's Zach, played by Andrew Keegan, who is one of those 90s heartthrobs that was in Tiger Beat, along with like JTT. And
I got this here. I said Zach's the
I
ultimate.
got this.
He's the ultimate 90s heartthrob bad boy, kind of like me. I also said he looks like a young John Bernthal.
He does.
Doesn't he?
I give him, that could be.
I could see like him growing up and looking like John Bernthal.
Yeah, I get that.
Who also was on Mount Rushmore of Celebrity Crushes.
John Bernthal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy will keep you safe at night.
Yeah, until
he
goes crazy and tries to kill you. It's a Walking Dead reference.
Oh, I was damn. Well, that's a fictional character. I was thinking like real life. Like,
no.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up.
No. So yeah, they run into Zach, the school bully, and they call him Pud, which is a slang for your wiener.
You really?
Yeah, you never heard that? Whack your pud, pull your pud. Pud is slang for your dick.
Well, learn things every day on this podcast.
Number one source for information. So they're giving him a hard time. They're calling him Pud. So yeah, they're like, hey, hands off, into the bathroom. It's time for your swirly. And then when they get into the bathroom,
Mud was just doing like a report.
Yeah,
they're like working together. They're actual buds.
Yeah, Zach shakes him down for homework, and Mud writes him a report on the Red Badge of Courage.
It's good enough for a C+.
Yeah, and then Zach's like, who do I say won? As if you don't know.
He doesn't know who won the Civil War.
So Mud says it's good enough for a C, and Zach tells him next time make it a B.
And he still has to.
And then the
swirly.
And then the mood changes. Like, how you been, Mud? He's like, good.
Yeah, it's when you find out, like, okay, now
they have a history. They grew up together. Yeah. They're cool. But as I'm about to get to, Zach has a reputation. Mud says he's good. He tells Zach about a bully in gym class, and Zach says, hey, I'll take care of it. And then it's time for Mud swirly, which just turns out to be Mud wetting his hair and then screaming. So
as Zach's like flushing the toilet, because the other bullies are standing outside.
Because he says,
"Rep to protect." Yeah,
he's got a reputation to protect.
Exactly.
So then we're after school, and one of the girls is complaining about the line goes, Epstein is giving them another English quiz, and I want to say, wasn't Jeffrey Epstein an English teacher?
Prestigious, like New York Academy. Yeah.
Then we go. We just talked about Hollywood and pedos.
Just to rep this, because I was going to bring this all back later on when they're at the camp and Trish is walking around basically in a bikini the whole time. I was noted on here. I expect this to be an Epstein production, because as soon as they got there, they sexualized the hell out of that Trish character. Like, she was flirting the whole time. She was wearing, two-piece bikinis.
I don't think I wrote it down, but they're lucky. They nailed the age demographic, because had shift the ages about 2 years. There would have been fights. People would have been pregnant.
All the hormones raging at the camp. Yeah.
In a camp with, instead of like 13 and 14-year-olds, you're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds. A lot of fucking, a lot of fighting, drinking. It would have been a whole different movie.
It would have been like a better movie, maybe.
It would have been like American Pie.
Which I guess we shouldn't be saying is a better movie, because we're still giving them underage.
Yeah, true.
I immediately just backpedaled out of that one.
Just regardless, I mean.
But I put on here that after school, the walk home, and they're talking about summer camp like it's college, because they're like all four together.
Yeah.
And like, my parents are really stressing me that I need to go to this one, and I'm not ready for it. I just want to like take the summer off. And I was like, they really are like acting like this is their college choice, which is like college preparation, I guess, because if you go to like computer camp, you're expected to go to college for like technology,
computer science or something.
And the one girl was going for drama. She's obviously expected to be like in theater in college.
And the poor girl was going to fat camp.
Dude, she wasn't even fat the whole time. I'm like, where's the fat on this girl? Like, she was the average.
Did you notice, like, and I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but at the end, when they're pulling off Parents' Day, and the mom's like, "You're so skinny." Well, like, did you notice, like, throughout the whole movie, they kind of dressed her kind of frumpy, though? Like, big sweaters and stuff tied around her waist.
Yeah.
So you're right. She wasn't fat.
Not at all. The only thing I could think of is, like, she just killed it, like, in the audition. And they're like, okay, we're really kind of looking for a bigger girl, but this girl's just, like, really great for the part. Yeah. So they're just going to cast her as this. Because I'm like, yeah, like, unless that mom's just crazy, like, there's nothing wrong with that kid.
All right, so like you said, they're walking down the street, and basically they're just complaining about all the camps that they have to go to. And then we go to a scene. Mud and his dad are in the mall.
And can you just say how Mud's dad is the ultimate dad? He's got another Cosby reference.
Okay.
Cosby sweater, mustache, glasses.
I wrote, he is the epitome of a stereotypical 90s dad, a Ned Flanders in the flesh.
Ned Flanders, there it is. That's exactly who he looks like, is Ned Flanders.
You know, maybe Ned would tone down the sweater a bit, but that's Ned Flanders
And
in
he
the
was
flesh.
like cracking himself up with like bad jokes.
Yeah.
It's like this. I just put he's the ultimate dad,
So,
ultimate 90s dad.
yeah, they're walking through the mall, and you know he's trying to soften the blow of going to computer camp. And I said I wrote, here's where we get introduced to the star of the movie, in my opinion, Christopher Lloyd. He's in the mall selling Easy Cheese, and he's putting on this performance, and
almost like a Shakespearean performance
yeah,
too. He's into it.
And Mud is kind of captivated by. He stands
He's making
there.
like eye contact with him too. It's like kind of like foreshadowing their love affair.
So next scene, they're walking to school, and that's where the whole idea is born.
Yeah, because they're talking
Plot of
about
the
how
movie
much
is
it's going
born.
to cost. And
Yeah.
Bud's like, if we just put all our money together, we could have our own summer camp.
Yeah.
And Zach's like, hold on, what did
Yeah.
you just say?
Nope. They're talking about how much these camps cost, and Mud says, with that kind of money, we could just rent our own camp. And Zach said, he takes the idea and he runs with it. And then they're planning. Turns out Dennis used to be a drama teacher.
That yearbook picture was very pedophile looking. Like,
Yeah, it was.
He looked like just unhinged to be around children in that picture.
So yeah, it turns out Dennis used to be a teacher at their school, so they hatch a plan. Like, they're talking. They're like, "Hey, we need an adult to pull this off."
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah,
you got to have like a counselor, quote unquote.
Yeah,
camp head counsel.
And you need somebody to go in
counselor.
and actually rent the camp.
Yeah, just to do the adult
do all
stuff.
this. Yeah. So so Mud's like, "Hey, I got the guy," and then they're off to see Dennis. They find him in his trailer, and he wants kind of nothing to do with it. And then up walks T.R. Polk.
Yeah.
He is a debt collector. I think it's Bulldog Collections. So T.R. Polk comes along, and he's in search of old Dennis because he bought a 79 Caribbean Yellow Gremlin for 48 months. And he only received five payments. He's looking for the other 43.
And so and then they transferred that debt onto this Bulldog agency, and he's like, I retire in 2 months. He's like, I'm retiring with a perfect record. And just so you know, I was gonna put on here, that was a Emmett Walsh who played him.
Yeah,
who was just
Emmett
like the
Walsh.
most stereotypical like down and out bounty hunter looking guy. Like always has like one eye kind of closed and always has that snarl on his face. So if y'all look him up, you'd be like, yeah, that looks like a bounty hunter from like the 80s and 90s.
All right, so he's there to collect that Caribbean Yellow Gremlin or the money, either one. He kicks the barn door looking for that. I should say, when Dennis realizes that the bounty collector is there,
It's time for the show.
He transforms into.
He goes, here, hand me my teeth. And he this whole persona he puts on.
He puts on
and Mud plays it off well though. Like as soon as like Dennis is like in trouble and like the what's his name, Polk, or you want to call him Bulldog, is like kind of onto it. Like Mud comes running out and he's like, Daddy, like the factory's called. I need you at the.
He's like, number 3 turbines out of position.
And he's like, oh, okay, son. Like they both kind of roll with it. And
I think that's when he kind of knew, okay, this kid, he's got potential.
That's what he always says. Like this kid's got potential. But anyways, like then the Bulldog like kicks down the door, and because you got to know like his other friends like Zach.
And the
Trish,
2 girls.
And the other girl, they were like, and then they come like rolling around in the car. So find out Zach's kind of like a gearhead, I guess that's kind of maybe noteworthy. Like, he's supposed to go to military camp because his dad's like highly military, but it seems like he just wants to drop out and like cruise the world in a car.
He wants to get a Harley.
And he wants to probably just get laid, to be honest.
Yeah, well, he's well on his way by the end of the movie. So after that, the kids shake down Dennis and eventually convince him to help. Pull this off.
They're giving him $1,000.
$1,000. He's like, "What do you think? You can just buy me off?" And then Mud's like, "Well, I have Mr. So and So's number right here."
Oh yeah.
He's like, "You know what?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this."
Bounty hunter's number. And then how did they get this place, the camp? Because it's definitely an old hippie commune.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't show how they found it.
They had that one old guy, that really fucking old guy, and he did mention about like how I think it was like run by a bunch of hippies for like a summer, and then they left it as is.
Yeah, and then Dennis made some remark. He's like, I thought this place looked familiar.
Yeah, he's definitely like his character's definitely like an old hippie. Like that comes back to play.
But before that, we get a compilation of Dennis going around and all the different characters going to see the kids' parents to.
Oh yeah, that's where he has to put on the persona of like.
And I said the best one was the Richard Simmons, like the knockoff Richard Simmons for the fat camp, where he's got the lipstick and the hat with the propeller on it. So we get a scene of Dennis transforming into all these different characters,
four
like
different
the military
characters
guy.
to convince the four parents, because there's really at first it was just going to be those four kids
Which
we're
would be
going to have
Sweet
this
Summer.
Yeah, and then did you have the Mud's friend, that black kid that
Walter?
Walter,
Yeah, I have.
ran his mouth, like overheard it, and then he said something to I can't remember that girl's name, the girl that Walter just wants to skinny dip with.
Yeah,
that redhead
Betty.
with braces.
Betty.
So he told her, and then they're like, "You told Betty," and the next thing you know, like 100 fucking kids walk up.
All right, so he goes around, gets in character, convinces all the parents, and then they go and talk with the old man that owns the camp. And I wrote he's drinking water out of the dirtiest glass I've ever seen.
I didn't even notice.
Like it is covered in
the old man. He might be too blind. That guy looked like he was about 97 when he sold him that.
You could see the glass like through the light coming in the window, and that thing had to have like Ebola on it. Like it was
from
just
the
fingerprints.
The lake there that the hippies all had sex with and bathed in. Like
It was
in
just the
70s.
dirtiest. I don't know why I noticed that.
I'm glad I did it then.
They get to camp, and they're making plans back at Mud's house, and that's where things start to kind of go wrong. Walter knows and told Mud's secret, and now everyone knows. And I said, "Fucking Walter's a bitch."
Ratted him out real quick, man. Like they just now got the ball rolling, and yeah. Well, I think what his excuse was, well, I just told this one person, and that, would you say Betty? And then Betty's the one who, blabbered it. So,
and then half the
Never
school
trusted
shows up at
Betty.
Mud's house. And then the kids arrive at the camp and immediately do something dangerous, like they're jumping off the roof into like a pile of mattresses that have God knows what in them, like needles or whatever. And then we kind of see them picking out bunks and places to stay for the summer. And then they have a little meeting.
And then Dennis, he's like, okay. Like, as soon as he got here, he's like,
Have a
I'm
good
going to
summer.
be at the end of the lake. Yeah, he's just going to give him total peace. So it really is going to be like no adults. Because Dennis is like, yeah, I got my $1,000 and I'm not even going to try to be in there with y'all.
Yep. So they kind of hold a meeting to kind of lay out some ground rules. They say letters once a week. Number 2 was...
If anyone in town asks, you don't speak English.
Number 3 was like, if you find a Taco Bell, let me know.
Which we've already discussed. That's
Garbage. Garbage clown question, bro. And then
they're playing like tag at night, and then they all like kind of gang up on Mud to give him money, and he pulls out this huge stack of cash, and they just starts handing it out to everybody.
Yeah, I say.
They go on a huge spending spree, man.
Yeah, I said they're playing tag in the dark, and Mud makes his one fatal mistake. Not fatal, but it's fatal to the plan.
Fatal to the plan. There you go.
He reveals how much money he has, which is the group's money, and he tells them that this money has to last them all summer, and they can't
that's what
draw.
he kept trying to stress. Is like, this has to last.
Can't
3
draw
months.
attention to ourselves. The next thing we see is
Circuit City trucks,
toys, electronics, motorcycles, and everything else being delivered via truck to the camp, which draws the attention of the sheriff.
Well, and there was like a 65-inch TV, and they're like, "Oh yeah, how's that going to get in there?" Guy goes, "Who ordered the chainsaw?" So now they're cutting holes in the walls to bring this TV in. It's like, yeah, that's exactly how you bring attention to yourself.
So yeah, they're getting like super soakers, and there's a lot of toys that I saw that I totally forgot about from my childhood. Like at one point they had, remember the long Nerf darts that were like the bow in the air and they had the pump? Remember that?
Heck yeah.
They had TVs.
That should be at the next draft house. We should do something like that. That'd be cool. Yeah, they had and then that followed up. I think where you're going was at the epic 4th of July party coming up.
No, I got more. I think I got more in between there. We get another scene where the girls come in. It's Zach and Mud in the garage. And the girls come in. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the mall. There's 30% off sale." He's like, you can't. You're not going to survive all summer if you keep spending your money. Well, then we get down to Trish and Zach is trying to play a badass here, and he like threatens to drop out.
Yeah, he
And
did
I'm
that
like,
quite often.
I'm like, dude, you're 14. Like, shut. Okay, Fonzie.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
That's a good reference.
You can't
he
even-
was the Fonzie of
You
the
can't even
movie.
fucking get a job. Yeah, you may be able to drive, and he says
In Tijuana.
in Tijuana.
His driver's license, or the driving age is 14, so he's gonna go to Mexico just so he can drive.
Then we get to the 4th of July party, and they're playing with fireworks and swimming in the lake. And Mud is on rollerblades, and he's going to rollerblade down this hill onto the dock with like sparklers, giant sparklers, and Roman candles attached to his helmet.
Yeah, he tried to go all out. Everyone else was kind of lame. Like, they would ride up and then kind of kick their heels up and fall in, whereas Mud was like helmet with like, what is it, like, not sparklers or
It looked
something.
like flares.
Flares on his head and like Roman candles in his hand, and he's like trying to go down this hill, but of course he eats shit before he can make it to the water and burns himself.
He burns himself. They go to Dennis, and he ends up taking him Mud to the doctor.
But before, did you notice who the officer was in this movie?
He looks super familiar.
It's Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah, okay. That's who it was.
So we got 2 Back to the Future alumni in this movie. Okay, but back to the doctor. Absolute smoke show.
yeah.
She was a babe.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the hottest lady on any movie we've ever reviewed. Over Rose McGowan.
In Scream?
You see how beautiful she was? She's like 55.
I'll give you that.
That lady aged like a beautiful red rose. I don't know. My mind went blank, but she's a redhead. She is so hot, dude. She's probably like a grandma at that point.
I'm not saying she's not hot, but Rose McGowan are still the official tits of this podcast.
All right. I'm trying to go with beauty over here. She is hot, dude. She's like in her 50s in that point. Imagine her like in her like hippie heyday.
No, she was definitely pretty.
No, okay, you can have Rose McGowan. I
just want her tits.
I got the doctor.
All right.
I don't even know her name. It's just Doctor Lady.
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
That's another babe. Jane Seymour. My God, I had a huge crush on her growing up.
Had a huge Seymour for her. So they get back to so the doctor fixes him up, and they go back to camp, and they get a visit from Sheriff Hendricks, and he's there about some unruly kids, and then we get more great acting from Christopher Lloyd. So they go inside. He wants to ask Mud some questions, and right before he sends Mud inside, Dennis says, "Hey, go inside, put on some coffee, and clean up a bit." And I think he means hide all the kids. So all the kids are sitting up in the rafters.
Yeah.
And Sheriff's firing off questions, trying to anyway. And he's trying to cover up coughs coming from the rafters, and he starts getting in a coughing fit. And he's like, he has eczema at one point. He says he thinks he's coughed because he's inhaling the flakes from his eczema.
Yeah, it was a really well what's the word?
Improvisational.
Yeah, like to just go with that, and Biff starts freaking out. But yeah, so like you were saying, like he just has all these excuses right off the top of his head.
Yeah, so they start acting crazy enough to get the sheriff to leave. And then the next scene, it's raining, and the kids are bored, and they start to threaten to leave and go home, as if they didn't just order truckloads full of shit to keep them entertained.
Yeah,
they're threatening.
One rainy day is all it took.
They're threatening to leave, and Mud immediately goes to Dennis for help, and Dennis comes through, organizing different events and activities for the kids to do.
I think that was like a generational thing, because Dennis's generation was like didn't grow up on all this technology and stuff, whereas like for us, if a rainy day or power goes out, it's like we don't know what to do. So I think that's why Mud was like he should go ask an adult like how to have fun in this situation, and it just basically turns into like 1994 Woodstock, like with all the mud and everything.
But I think if you kind of look deeper at that scene, they talk about Mud's parents never really listening to him, and I think what you're supposed to get out of that is Dennis telling him, like, hey, you've got to speak loud enough for people to hear you. So you need to find your voice. If your parents aren't listening, you need to just speak loud enough, or, tell them how you feel.
Yeah. Good life lesson.
And then we see that, kind of later on in the movie. And then I wrote, the next scene after that is, and I feel bad for not getting her name, but she's in there making breakfast for everybody, and Mud comes in.
The girl who's not fat.
Yeah, and I wrote Mud is in love, because he says...
Well, she's just so wholesome, too, like, she was the girl that's, like, I think you would look back on as, like, that's, I don't know, I sound creepy because she's so young at that, but she was older than us when the movie was made. It's just, like, really wholesome, where it's like, yeah, she's not the sexually active Trish, but it's like, that girl will cook you dinner, she'll be your best friend. Like, that's the kind of girl I want. That's why I'm marrying that redhead doctor.
So I just wrote Mud is in love. They have this little moment, and then it's time for Mud to go back to the doctor, and Dennis shoots his shot and gets a dinner date back at the camp.
Which gives me hope, because if Christopher Lloyd's got a shot with her, so do I.
Hypothetically, of course. So Mud is worried that she'll blow their cover, and Dennis reassures him like, hey, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. In a couple years, a couple things are going to happen. He says you're going to grow a terrible mustache that looks like fruit mold on your lip, and then number 2 is you're going to learn why men ask attractive women out to dinner. So he's like, hey, I got your back.
Both parts are probably true, though.
Nothing's going to happen. So we get into another scene where Zach is almost busted buying beer, but again, Dennis is there to save the day.
He tried to buy 200 beers. I mean, a cart full of just nothing but 12 packs, like overflowing. And the cashier that was checking him out, did you notice that guy? He was the rat from Heavyweights.
He was.
So he's ratting him out again.
One thing I wrote about that scene is like 19 to buy beer.
Is that what it said?
Yeah. He said, you have to be 19 to buy this stuff. And then there's hilarious math equation. He's like, you were born in 1968 or 60 whatever.
60, I think it was 63, because he was trying to be 21, not 31. They're like, so you're 31 years old. And he's like, what? Like, busted. Like, couldn't even get his own math right.
So, and then we get an hilarious car wash scene where they're trying to get away from the sheriff. And Dennis shuts his pant leg in the car door of the sheriff's car and walks him through.
He was like, yeah, this is like a nice feature we offer.
It's a complimentary feature.
Yeah, where he's just like telling you each phase of the car wash.
Then he comes out and he's like, it was a free hot wax, and he's got like wax all over him. And they get in the gremlin and they scurry away. And then we get a scene where Mud is at his breaking point at a letter writing meeting where there was some bullying going on. And
got a great line from that.
Go ahead.
Sniff my butt, toe breath. That's what the little fat kid tells the kid that always wears those Kangol hats.
Yep.
Fucking Kangol hat. Can't
So
trust
yeah,
nobody.
he threw something at. He was throwing something at one of the kids, and Mud screams out, "You're gonna put somebody's eye out with that."
He sounds like his dad.
He's like, I sound like my dad, and he kind of gets in his feels there for a little bit. And then we see good old TR Polk again, and he's looking for Dennis. So he shows up at his trailer, finds out he's selling Easy Cheese at the mall, and then he shows up at the mall and finds a postcard with an address, and so we know
he's a
trouble.
Good little bounty hunter.
Yeah,
like you said, perfect
good
record.
Good old debt collector right there.
Yeah.
So we kind of know trouble's coming. And then we move on to the date scene with the doctor. Him and Mud getting an argument over lima beans. He doesn't want to eat lima beans. And I'm like, you know what? After everything this dude's doing for you, you can't shove down some lima beans. Like, just shut up and eat them.
And then Dennis just made a horrible deal at that point.
Oh, yeah.
He offered him
$1 a lima bean.
So that kid's just sitting there, like, counting, like, 64, 65. And
he's like,
wow,
slow down.
He really likes those lima beans.
I don't want you to fill up. It's like 67. He's like, I don't want you to choke. But yeah, so dinner is going pretty well.
Lucky dog.
And then we cut to a scene where Zach turns out to be a really sweet guy. There is a girl that's kind of in Trish's little clique.
Yeah, and she's like homesick.
She's homesick. And he's like, hey, do you want to help me? Are you hungry? You got a bellyache? He's like, you want to help me clean out this carburetor? She's like, no. He's like, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to make a necklace. And he's like, make a necklace. So he pulls out like random nuts and bolts. And
some kind of like copper wiring or something.
Yeah.
He hands her all these nuts and bolts, like, make a necklace, and then the next day we'll make a necklace for
me.
Which was really nice because she was like so excited, and it actually was pretty wholesome.
And I was like, he's a tough guy who's listening to the Cranberries.
Heartthrob with a heart. How about that?
And he's listening to the Cranberries, apparently. Did you hear the Cranberries playing in the background?
No.
Yep, totally playing the Cranberries.
I think everybody was jamming the Cranberries in 94.
I'll jam some Cranberries. And then we go back to the date scene. Mud had fallen asleep on the couch. And she's like, do you need help putting him to bed? He's like, no, I got it. And he puts him...
basically on like a boat dock. Like
he puts him out on the back porch.
Yeah, which is like right on the body of water. Yeah. And he wakes up and looks around.
And then we get the scene where the doctor discovers the camp. And we all think they're screwed, but surprisingly and unrealistically, she lets it slide.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. Not for a guy you just met who's like basically like has 100 kids under his control. That's so many red flags.
Yeah.
There's no way you let that slide.
Oh, yeah. So then the kids learn that the parents are coming to see the kids at camp.
Yeah, once one parent's like so eager to come, that didn't sound good either. So eager to attend
visit their child.
Parents' Day. Yeah, because they're like, why isn't there not a Parents' Day? And they always had like these problems like for theater. They're like, well, we don't want to disturb like the art, or we can't have. There was always an excuse. And then like, so one parent like finally was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna go visit my sister, and we're just gonna go up there, and we're gonna make them make us go up there. And so like then another parent comes like, hey, we heard like the Edwards are coming up, and we really like to come see our kid. So it just snowballed. They were like, okay, we have no choice. Like we're gonna have to have a Parents' Day.
And they had like an elaborate like answer machine set up, each labeled because there was like 4 different camps. There was a military camp, computer camp, fat
theater
camp, and drama camp.
Yeah.
And they all had
I think you held up 5 fingers when you
Did I?
counted that out. Yeah.
The beauty of radio is that they can't see that, but you don't have to point it out.
When I saw that, sorry.
But yeah, so they had a pretty sweet setup going on, and so yeah, they learn that
They got 36 hours. That's the thing, right? Did you say that? 36 hours to pull off 4 camps.
Yep. Mud comes up with this plan, and then we get the montage scene of the kids setting up for Parents' Day. And then really we're in the home stretch of the movie.
Yep.
We're getting down to it. So the parents, they start to arrive, and they have to have this whole production. They've got different signs.
Yeah, so the first up was military camp. That was Zach's dad coming. He kind of immediately grabs them, and he's like, I don't know, they're like some kind of war. He's like, we got to stay low, we got to go. Well, first of all, I should say they set up a whole montage, right? So they set all this up. You can't have a 90s kids movie without a montage.
Yeah.
So we had the montage before of everything getting set up, like everything getting put in place. So would foreshadow for later. Military camp was first. Basically, he makes it seem like they're at war with this other camp that, they're just constantly getting fired upon. They got to get like in this trench and just hang out there. So that's how they can distract Zach's dad, is just keep him preoccupied with this fake war.
Yeah, so he's got them in this like little foxhole, and they've got like little, what are those, like confetti poppers?
Yeah, little poppers.
So they got those buried in the ground.
Because then it looks like bullets, like a machine gun, pop, 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 and they're just popping them off.
Yeah, no, it was really well done.
When I first saw that, I was like, what are they going to do with that? And then it came by later. I was like, oh shit, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, so, and I wrote, Zach's dad is going to have a PTSD episode in that foxhole.
He looked like he was back in whatever war he served by the end of it, man. He was looking rough.
Yeah, so, and then, now we're in the thick of it. They're doing really well. It looks like they're going to pull this off. They're doing the drama production.
Yeah, drama was next.
They've got the fat kid camp. They've pulled that off. I think maybe the music. Was there a music camp or no?
No, it was
okay.
Military drama, fat. I can't feel bad calling it fat camp. And then it was the computer camp.
Computer camp.
And they were playing war games. Like they make it seem like they go in there into like this little lab, and they're like setting off nukes all across the world.
They use that 515 flyby to their advantage.
Oh yeah. We forgot to mention that there was by an Air Force base, and they knew at like 5:15 every time these fighter jets flew over, and it was just like deafening loud. So the way they timed this war game scenario was like fighter jets are flying over right now, and it really sounded that convinced the parents. That was hook, line, and sinker for them right there.
Yeah, they're like they can't hack Pentagon codes, can they? And then jets go over. Mud's dad's super impressed. But while that's going on, the debt collector finds the sheriff, and they realize that they're looking for the same dude. So we cut back to camp. Mud's parents, the computer's the last hurdle they got to clear. They pull it off. And the debt collector shows up and blows the kid's cover. So he goes in there. With Mud's dad, and then I think they step on like a trapdoor or whatever is holding the like the Christmas tree.
Yeah, because as soon as one camp would be over, they'd be like a production or a drama production. Like they would pull everything up, so they had everything up in the rafters, and everything just starts tumbling.
And they kind of had everything divided with like sheets, like one section.
The kids were celebrating. They thought it was over. They're celebrating. Sheet comes down, and it's like, yeah, game over.
Game over. So at that point,
Gotta give him credit though to pull that off. That was pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, the sheriff or the debt collector is still looking for Dennis. He sneaks out the back door, and then Mud he goes to warn Dennis, and
Dennis is already one step ahead of him.
He's already packing
out, which I don't blame him because he's like, yeah, you're a kid. What are they gonna do? Ground you? He's like, I'm gonna go to jail for this.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, hell yeah, you are, Dennis. Get out of there, man. Like everything's gonna point to him. They're gonna be like, he masterminded. He got God knows what to these kids. You know, like all these allegations that could come, and it's like. Yeah, you got to flee, man. You got to get out of there.
Yeah, so Mud goes to warn Dennis, and it seems like he's only looking out for himself. He says, hey, look, go hide in the woods for a few hours.
Which is a smart idea, man. He was like, just get lost for a few hours. They'll miss you so much when you come back. They'll just be happy they found you. Yeah, and I was like, man, that's pretty fucking genius, actually. Like, play on to
Why
their
didn't I
sympathy.
think of that?
Yeah, like I could have done something terrible. Except my dad would have been like, I've been delaying the inevitable, and just start whooping me.
So he takes his advice. He's sitting out in the woods, and here comes the doctor in a white shirt. Andrew's just, oh, what was that?
No hands, brother.
Was that your pud?
My pud saying hello.
But yeah, she finds Mud and is like, hey, you know, what's going on? And basically he's like, you know, Dennis, he took off, and she expected that fully. And she convinces him to kind of go back to the camp. And when they get back to the camp, Dennis is there holding court.
Yeah, he's taking blame for everything. Do you hear that line he made, though? He's like, this was my 5-year plan to start a cult. Like, he was very elaborate. Like, yep, this was it. This was the big plan. Started 5 years ago to get all these kids here.
And then, you know, Mud and the doctor kind of exchange a look like, oh, he's doing the right thing here. And Mud is like, all right, Dennis, you can cut it out. And he steps up. He's like, this is all my idea. And then Dennis is still trying to, he's like, that, whatever his last name, that Harris boy, he was the easiest one, the most gullible one. He's like, no, stop, seriously. He's like, this is all my idea. No regrets. Like, this is my idea. And
then Dennis, like, Zach steps up.
And then eventually the whole camp.
Yeah, everyone's like starts taking responsibility for it.
And, yeah, and then after that, none of the parents
they don't press charges. Yeah,
none of the parents were mad. None of the parents were cool. Mud's dad gives him a comic, and he's like, "Hey, you're grounded for the next 30 years," but kind of the not really, you know.
Then he gives him a comic though, and he said like his dad. He basically said his dad wouldn't let him have any fun. So the fact that he gave him a comic and was like, "Yeah, check that out," you know, it's pretty cool. Deal. So the dad's starting to come around.
Yeah,
and then you know Zach the whole time was working on this like. Cherry, like 1950.
It's a 55 Chevy Bel Air convertible,
which I mean, extremely nice.
Which I mean, how much money do they have? Because, and I know it's a movie, whatever, but a restoration like that's going to cost you like 60, 80, 100 grand easy.
Probably Christopher Lloyd's car.
Probably,
yeah.
But he painted it this beautiful blue color.
Yeah, there's no way they fucking. Zach painted that thing.
No.
Because when they find it, it's like just a giant...
It's a rust bucket.
Yeah, it's a rust bucket, and Zach's like slowly working... That was a carburetor you mentioned. He's working on it. And then he gives it to Dennis and my wife, my future wife, and which is very nice. And he's like, yeah, you can keep it until, you know, I'm old enough to drive.
Yeah, until I get my license, until I graduate.
Trish is like, so you're not going to drop out? And hold on, what did he say? He goes, I got to stick around for the greatest love of all, Trish. I was like, okay, Zach.
Laying it on pretty thick there,
yeah,
guy.
Okay.
And then they share.
And then Mud kisses his little crush.
Yeah.
I was very happy for that.
Zach kiss, and then Mud and his little girlfriend kiss.
Last thing I wrote. Kind of odd sexual ending, though. It's kind of ended on a weird, like, hormonal note for these kids.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's why I was, like, expecting an Epstein production, like, to appear right after all this.
Yeah, but that was it. That was the movie.
Yeah, that was it. And then, it suggested this app to me, so I said, what is the better 90s camp movie? Camp Nowhere or Heavyweights? What's your pick? Like,
that's tough.
If you had to, like, watch one with a buddy later, like, we can watch one of these two. Like, Landry was wanting to watch one.
I think Camp Nowhere was the better movie, but I've seen Heavyweights more, and I have more attachment.
That's why I would go with it.
Heavyweights,
because I can distinctly remember Heavyweights. Whereas when you suggested Camp Nowhere, and I was like, oh yeah, like I remember that. But I was like watching these scenes, like watching it for the first time. Whereas like Heavyweights, I was like, I remember this guy, I remember this scene, I remember the go-kart scene at the end. So they're both really good in like a classic like '90s bad movie way.
Yeah.
I think I'd go heavyweights, but it was a good suggestion by Lauren, and I enjoyed it.
This was just a prequel to that movie with Justin Long. Was Undecided. Accepted.
Yeah, I watched that like a month or two ago. It was actually pretty good.
Accepted is really good. I haven't seen it since I was probably in high
was like
school,
surprisingly like.
It's got a young Jonah Hill in there.
Big Jonah Hill. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the prequel. Those
Pretty
kids
much
grew
like
up
they
and started
their own college. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah. But no, great movie. Shout out to Lauren. Good job on the movie suggestion.
Let's see on this list.
I don't know what we're gonna do next.
Gotta let Claire pick.
That's fair. Bring her in here.
We went over this before. It's like what she would want to watch, and she just wants to watch like good movies. She doesn't get it. She wants to watch like Bottle Rocket or Rushmore, like these old Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those are too good. We got to watch like
we can't pick it apart.
Richie Rich or Weekend at Bernie's 2 or Angels in the Outfield. So she doesn't get why we watch bad movies. That I'm like, trust me, it's very important that I watch this bad movie and write 2 pages of notes.
All right, so that was Camp Nowhere. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. But with that, let's move on to sports. We're kind of in this. We continue to be in this dead space, dead period, right before football season.
I was say we call it dead period, but basketballs are in their conference championships, Stanley Cup finals, Euro tournament. There's actually quite a bit going on. We're just such football fans.
Yeah. But the Mavs are keeping us, paying attention because last show we talked about them getting rid of Rick Carlisle and Donnie Nelson, and they have found replacements, and I got none of them right in my prediction.
Nope.
I got none of them right. I was close.
I would have never guessed Nico here. I didn't know who that guy was.
Me neither.
But apparently that was a great hire.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier with that one. So that one, I would hopefully... This doesn't age like milk. That was a good hire.
So we got Jason Kidd, who kind of is a Mavericks kind of legend-ish. As a head coach, he comes in with a 183 and 190 record. He was fired 3.5 seasons in by Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He had a 23 and 22 record at the time.
That's with the young Giannis too.
He never won more than 44 games. He'd only been in the playoffs twice, once with Brooklyn in his short stint there, and then never passed the first round.
Then his replacement came in and went 60 and 22 that next year with Milwaukee.
Yep.
What pissed me off with that hire was like it was a stable franchise, you could say, like with the coaching and the GM and that core group. But it's like, okay, we have the first coaching vacancy in 13 years, and you fill it in less than a week with a guy with a losing record who's just familiar with the team. Like I would think with a top 5 player, couldn't we get any available coach we wanted? Like, didn't it seem kind of rushed? And then it was just like this familiar face that everyone like already knew. Like I would have loved if that would have been like the top assistant from San Antonio or
Becky Hammond.
That would have been her. Like, that would have been pretty fucking cool to give someone. I just don't like the fact that we're giving Kidd his 3rd shot, where we could have given Becky Hammond her 1st shot, the first woman ever head coach's shot. We could have went Jamal Mosley, like we talked about, his 1st shot.
I'm not sure Becky Hammond would come here with everything that came out of the front office.
Well, they brought in Cynthia Marshall to fix that, and you haven't heard anything about it since.
No. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly, like you said, it's
Becky Hammond would go to fucking any team if she's going to be the first ever woman head coach. I would go.
You're probably right. But it's like you said, we were talking before we started recording. It's like nepotism, but with your buddies instead of your family.
Your family, you're hiding your buddies. That's what Cuban's doing. That's what Jerry does, and that's why you're a franchise that only goes so far, because I bet Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, 11 months out of the year aren't friendly until they make it to a fucking conference and then Super Bowl championship.
Yep.
And then they're best friends.
Yep.
You just got to get somebody that's going to run your team and run it like a team and not a business.
And going back to the kind of that friendly nepotism thing, J.J. Barea and Jason Terry are rumored to be assistants. I could
get the J.J. thing, but I was like...
Last thing I heard about Jason Terry was coaching girls basketball.
Probably his girl.
No, that's right.
Which,
and then
you got to start somewhere. And the thing with Kidd, they were like, he went straight from player to coach. That's the only thing I could say is encouraging is the last 2 years he's been with the Lakers on Vogel's, and he was the top assistant for Frank Vogel with that team. And he was like, I'm trying to like earn my way back up. So that is cool, but again, I would like to see somebody get his first shot over someone getting his third shot.
What concerns me about Jason Kidd is it seems like he's halfway in, halfway out. He bolted from Brooklyn pretty quick.
But he got traded.
Oh, that's
Brooklyn,
right.
Brooklyn, he did so well, they think in his first year that Milwaukee traded 2 second-round picks to get him.
I
So
forgot
he
about
left
that.
Brooklyn from Milwaukee, yeah, because he actually got traded.
I totally forgot about that. So maybe he's not so in.
And then he got fired from Milwaukee, so really he's never left a job until he left the Lakers to come here.
So I guess I forgot that he got traded for.
Yeah, you can trade for a coach.
Yeah, I totally forgot. You totally can. Well, I mean, there's other reservations. You know, his record,
Losing record, yeah.
You know, his experience.
But to pair him with Luka, I get it. I get why they're such great point guards with such great vision, and he can bring that out. Whereas Carlisle, you know, he played and he won championships, but he wasn't like a starter for the Celtics.
No.
Whereas Kid's a first ballot Hall of Famer, triple-double machine, you know. So I get why they could work together better than Carlisle, man. Like, I love the guy, but Jesus, I would not want to be like his son-in-law. He's a fucking hard-ass, man.
I think you'd see he's not away from the court. He's probably a big softy. He's probably
okay. Well, but for players' standpoint,
for players, yeah.
he's extremely tough on those guys.
But excuse me. You know, going back to when I was playing sports, I needed a Rick Carlisle type.
Yeah,
I responded better to ass chewings than I did.
ass lickings.
Hey,
Ew.
Ew.
You're freaky coaches.
don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, there is a place for guys like Rick Carlisle, but I think
I mean, some of the greatest coaches you think about are not going to be your best friend, especially like Saban, Belichick. Maybe
They're dying.
Phil Jackson actually probably would be like your best friend. He was a great coach.
but that breed is dying out.
Yeah, it's more player friendly now.
You won't get that anymore. So the second half of this is Nico Harrison, who was head of like kind of basketball operations for Nike. He was like in scouting. He scouted players who they wanted to represent Nike. So he was a big LeBron guy.
And he played Division I basketball. They said like he does, you know, he is.
I think
a basketball
Montana
lifer.
or Montana State.
Yeah, it wasn't nowhere like it wasn't.
No,
like
but
Duke or
they've got
Kansas,
they've got his number retired in the rafters wherever he went.
Yeah,
he was D1. I think it was Montana.
I didn't know that. I was like, who's this guy? He's a Nike executive. Like, I just pictured him being like a I don't know, like sales guy or marketing guy.
He's got connections throughout
they said
the whole
guys
league.
love him. They said that other franchises, multiple franchises, try to pull him.
He's been up for other jobs in the past.
Yeah, and he always turned it down. So to say like that we got this guy and that, you know, is the envy of X amount of teams, that's a win. I don't know much, but I was if other people want him and we got him, that's good.
And you know, there's probably not legs to it, but there's enough smoke that I feel like we need to bring it up. But he's a friend of Damian Lillard's. Damian Lillard is not a fan of the Chauncey Billups hire.
Dame Lillard wanted to play for Kidd, just like
Yes.
Giannis wants to still play with Kidd.
Yes, and so some of the fans were coming out and kind of giving him crap about the hire, because Chauncey Billups has some sexual assault allegation from 1997, and
yeah, but you know, Kidd does too.
Well, I know he does, and he's got a DWI. But Dame was like, "Look, I didn't read the news when I was 7 years old." Like
that actually was a pretty good line. But they're like, but then they came back like, well, it could have resurfaced. You could have researched it, and
he's like, "I'm not researching. I'm just not digging up dirt on guys."
Yeah, exactly.
So he's getting backlash from fans, and they're saying this connection with Nico, because Nico, somebody had tweeted when Nico got the job. Somebody tweeted that like. He's got an excellent basketball mind, this, that, and the other, and then Dame retweeted it and said truth, like in all caps.
That was like his one word tweet.
Yeah. So there's that smoke. There's the Jason Kidd, him wanting to play for Kidd. So I don't know how it's going to shake out.
Yeah.
I don't know what we would probably need a third team to come in.
Yeah, I've heard. Well, I'll just say the thing with Dame. To me, he seems like a one-team guy. He always says he wants to just rep Portland, you know, because they're the team that took a chance on him. But he is from L.A. He's from, like, Compton, actually. So they were like, you know, if he were to come back, they could see him going in California. namely Golden State, because they could package their first-round pick, which is a lottery pick. They have the Minnesota protected top 3 pick for this year, and they could put in Wiseman, who was the number 2 pick. So they could trade those guys, still keep Steph, still keep Clay and Draymond Green. And
I don't want to talk about any Damian Lillard situation.
Okay, but how about this one? So then, then the other scenario was like, this was just throwing it out, like how we could make this work for the Mavericks. It's a 3-team trade, and I don't see them doing this because basically what we give up is KP to Charlotte. Charlotte trades Terry Rozier and a bunch of picks, which has got to be our picks and their picks, to Portland, because Portland has to come out on top. They would get Terry Rozier, a bunch of picks, and we would get Dame. But then I was like, all we give up is KP. We keep Hardaway. We keep Brunson. Like,
is there any way we could get Oklahoma City involved with all their picks?
Dude, they're like fucking...
Dude, they have some ungodly amount of picks.
I can't think of the name. What is the dragon from the Hobbit?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, Schmeagol or something like that.
Schmeagol, yeah.
Like, that is the dragon guarding all the draft picks. They have like 27 picks in the next 7 rounds.
It says 7 years.
7 years, yeah. And like 17 of them are first-round picks. Well, at one point, they're like, you can't draft those. You have to trade those.
Well, yeah.
But I'll give you 5 first-round picks for this guy. Okay. Like, they have all the ammunition. I want to trade KP to Oklahoma City for, one guy and a bunch of picks. Let's gamble. Let's draft these guys. Unless you can't get a top player like we just discussed. But we've traded so many picks, and you can't trade consecutive first round picks in the NBA. So if you can't trade a 2021 and your 2022, you have to go 21, 23, 25. You can't trade consecutive ones. You could trade all your 2s away, but it's like we're so shorthanded when it comes to picks. And who the fuck wants KP?
Not me.
Not me.
So that's kind of everything going on in Mavs land. Basketball wise, we're in conference finals. Everybody's hurt.
Not Phoenix, man. That's my pick.
Is Chris Paul? Does he
Paul's
back?
Been back like the last 2 games. He got cleared. They're up 3-2. They're playing right now. I just checked. I think they were up like 4 at the end of 1. So I'm definitely watching the rest of that after this. Atlanta without Trae Young because he didn't He twisted his ankle and got a bone bruise. Did you see that? He on a step back. He stepped on a ref's foot, and you see him twist his ankle.
Giannis hyperextended.
Yeah, that was a hyperextension.
When I saw that, I was like, that's the ACL. He's done.
Well, and I was like, okay, so no Trae Young. But they were back in Atlanta because it was Game 4. But I was like, they have a chance to go up 3-1 without their best player. And I didn't get to watch that game. I was just like, I told Claire, I'll take a break from basketball tonight. I can't watch it every night. She goes crazy. So I didn't watch it last night because I'm more invested in the Western Finals right now. And I was like, Atlanta's going to lose. They're down their best player. And then I see hyperextension, and then they end up winning by like 22 points. And I was like, damn, they're back in it. They got their best player coming back, potentially. I don't know. But if Giannis is out too, Atlanta's the better team if you take away each superstar. Atlanta has a good, rounded out team, and a guy that, in hindsight, could have got 2nd or 3rd in Coach of the Year.
Scans came back on Giannis this afternoon. It's just a bone bruise, just a hyperextension, no structural damage.
But still, is that a game or 2 out though? You can't. Is that something you can rush back? I don't think that's like, hey, I'm back next game.
No,
I think that's 1 or 2 games missed. Maybe if they force Game 7, he'll be back for that.
Yeah.
But then it's like, do you want to rush your 2-time MVP? And
nope.
I know he's never made a finals, and to be that close, it's going to be so hard to be like, you can't play.
Take the L.
But then I'm like, guy, you are a top 5 player in the world right now. Like,
take the L, and we'll do it next.
I can't do that.
We'll run it back next season. So yeah, that's where we're at on basketball. That's where we're at on the Mavericks.
Oh, we did have the draft lottery. Did we mention that? I think Detroit got
number 1
Detroit got
overall.
it. Yep. I brought that up without knowing. Like, I know there's like Evan Mobley from USC. I think there's a big man supposed to go number 1. Oh no, it's Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State, another big man. But we'll get that list. We'll get that going on when it's coming.
Yeah,
more around the bend. But there was the NBA draft, and Detroit's got the first pick in the lottery.
All right. Other than that, a little Cowboys news. We're 22 days away from training camp at this point. So we're right there. Hall of Fame game, August 8th. So we're literally like 5 weeks away.
That's like a month. Yeah, I was going to say a month and a week. Yeah,
we're like 5 weeks away from our first preseason game.
So am I still coming to your house?
Yeah.
For that first televised game?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
for
cool,
sure.
Cool.
So that's all the football we got. Dak was out at the Mississippi State College World Series game.
Good
He
luck
had his
charm.
little bucket hat, which worked because I just got the alert. Mississippi State beat Vandy 9-0 in Game 3 to win their first ever NCAA title in school history.
They won the last game like 13-2, so they outscored them like 22-2 in the last couple.
Yep.
Vanderbilt, if you
They're a
don't
program.
keep up, that is a powerhouse. Yeah,
They're
they're
a
like the
program.
Alabama. They got guys that are like constantly, top 5 picks.
Yeah, so
Damn, well, good for them, man. I like to see like a team get it for the first time. So
and
that's
then
cool.
what did Dak do? Dak donated because he's sponsored by
such a nice guy.
Beats, and he donated.
Mattress firm or mattress?
No,
brand?
it's Beats by Dre.
I'm just trying to think of commercials.
No, he donated
Campbell Chunky
Beats
Soups.
to the entire Mississippi State baseball team.
Damn, that's
So
cool.
he gave them all Beats, for the World Series. So with that, I found an interesting list. It's a college football list. We talked about how big college football fans we are, and this came across my Twitter feed a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what, I got to bring this up. And let me give this guy credit. Not that anybody is going to hear, but at Big Game Boomer. He's an OU alum, college football junkie.
He's an OU alum, and he put him in tier 2. That's actually pretty respectful.
He's a 24/7 college football rankings expert, so guy knows a little bit about what he's talking about. But he put out a tier list of college football programs. So he's got it broken down into 6 tiers, and I want to talk about this with you. I just showed you this briefly, so you're kind of studying it right now. So let's go tier by tier, and let's just talk about it. Tier 1, he has Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State.
I get that.
You got a problem there?
No, the only thing, I would have gone 4 because it's a 14 playoff, and we'll talk about who we would have put in that 4th spot, but
Okay, let's
14 playoff? When you
Well,
put 4
let me
teams?
move on to tier 2.
Tier 2, right
Tier
off the
2,
bat.
I'm going to work the other way. I'm going to leave that
Okay,
one for last.
okay.
We got Oregon, OU, Notre Dame, LSU, Georgia, and Boise State.
Boise State.
I don't
in
understand.
Tier 2?
I don't understand the Boise State.
I mean, they had the Statue of Liberty play, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
That was the apex mountain of their program.
I mean, I get for a school their size, they do have some prestige. They do get
they
some
put out
recruits.
good players.
They
yeah,
put
ask
out
the
good
Cowboys.
players.
Like,
Yeah.
we get a Boise State player every year, but to put them in the ranks of Georgia, LSU, Notre Dame, OU, and even Oregon, I wouldn't put in there. But Georgia, LSU, Notre Dame, and OU, consistently top 10 programs.
So to me, you can move OU up into tier 1.
That's who I would put up, and that's why I was so surprised as a OU fan. Like, this guy didn't make that call because they always are, man. Like, they win Heisman trophies and they make the playoffs.
Their quarterback, they
after they transfer from a Texas school.
they benefit from a weak conference because with Texas being down,
Texas A&M gone.
Texas
Yeah, they
A&M
just run
gone,
it.
they can run the Big 12. They, to me, should be a tier 1 college football program. Let me get into tier 3 because that way then we can shuffle some teams down and up. Tier 3, you've got Auburn, Cincinnati, Florida, Iowa State, Miami, North Carolina, Northwestern, Oklahoma State, Penn State, A&M, UCF, USC, Utah, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't.
Anything that jumps out at you right up front?
I would put Auburn, Florida, and maybe A&M up a tier. But unless he just had a hard cap on these numbers, Cincinnati doesn't deserve that. Northwestern was a joke program. I know their coach now. It's like
Scott Frost.
that was. I think
um,
it's like an Irish name, like O'Brien or something. And he really has made that a great program. Same thing with Iowa State.
Iowa State's got a great program now.
But
I
if
was
we're
watching
talking
them-
10 years ago, Northwestern and Iowa State aren't even fucking close.
Did you ever
and
watch them?
USC aren't even close.
Did you ever watch them when they had Seneca Wallace playing quarterback?
That's how.
Yeah,
That's
how
the
I
only
knew.
thing I can remember is when they had Seneca Wallace and they were actually like winning 9 or 10 games in the Big 12. But like Auburn, Florida, A&M, we talked about it. You could just fill it with SEC teams.
To me, yeah, UCF.
Miami and USC have great programs in
UCF,
history.
yeah, they benefit
I've
from
always
a
liked
weak.
Iowa too, man. I love that corn-fed like.
We talk about Big Ten
burly
linemen.
guys. Yeah, give me a Big Ten lineman any
Big
day
Ten
of the
lineman.
week. Big Ten.
All right, let me go down to tier 4 because there's some interesting
Tiers
ones down
just
here.
get bigger too.
Yeah, and I won't roll
Some of
through
these I don't
every.
even know. Who's this?
All right, so that's Appalachian State.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Are they
Appalachian
still
State.
riding that win from the big
Michigan.
house?
Arizona State, Baylor, BC. They've got Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Houston, Indiana, Kansas State, Kentucky, Louisiana Lafayette, Memphis, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri. Ooh, I don't know that one.
North Carolina State.
No, NC State.
NC State. That's what
NC State.
That's what I said. North Carolina
Yeah, no, I'm just
Okay.
confirming for myself.
Okay.
Ole Miss, San Diego State, South Carolina, Stanford, TCU, Texas, UCLA.
That's such horseshit. I mean, Texas and Stanford and Michigan need to be moved up. They don't deserve to be in the same category with Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, the Louisiana Lafayette, Memphis, San Diego State. Those guys, Appalachian State, do they make bowl games? I mean, okay, I get I'm a homer. You're a homer for TCU. I like Texas. But Stanford, I mean, they've been in Rose Bowls. They've had guys that, like, competed for Heismans.
See, I just need to know
Michigan?
I need to know the criteria.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If I could figure out the criteria, maybe there would be some understanding into how this was compiled.
And like Indiana, okay, they're turning the program around, but that's a basketball school.
Kentucky has been
Kentucky
dog
basketball
shit.
school. UCLA basketball school.
Look at Florida State down here in Tier 5.
That's sad, dude. They won a national championship like
not that
7
long
years
ago. So Tier 5, let me go through some of the big ones. BYU, Cal, Colorado, Florida State.
Florida State, that's a travesty, man.
Georgia Tech, Louisville, Maryland, Mississippi State, Michigan State, who's had some good teams.
Yeah.
Nebraska,
Pitt.
Let's see, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Virginia
Tech.
and Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, that was a great program with Frank Beamer growing up.
And Washington State.
See, there's better teams in this tier than there is in Tier 4.
I just need to know what are we basing this off of.
I have no idea. This guy's list is just getting to
then we go down to
horseshit.
Then we go down to Tier 6, which is the last
Slap
tier.
in the face to my buddy Nate Dogg with Arkansas down here with some. Who is this?
Okay.
Is that Akron?
That's Akron Zips.
That's fine. That's the only reason I knew that because they're fucking Zips.
So we've got teams like Purdue, Oregon State,
Arkansas,
Arizona, Arkansas. But okay, this guy makes a point. His next reply after he tweets this out, he says, "For the Arkansas fans blowing up my DMs complaining that the Razorbacks should be in a higher tier, this is why you're at the bottom." And he says losses over the last 10 years. They've got losses to Louisiana Monroe, Toledo, North Texas, Western Kentucky, Alabama, LSU, Rutgers.
Some of these are great programs.
Yeah.
Really, once you leave those first 3 or 4.
San Jose State. He threw shade at TCU.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you lost to Arkansas, or you lost to Alabama, LSU,
Colorado State,
A&M, Florida, Georgia. You know who else loses them? Every other team they play.
So
you can't justify that, dude.
He responded back and kind of clapped back to all the Arkansas fans that kind of was chirping at him
it's a fun list to look at. Oh, is that best?
That's most passionate fan base for each
I
state.
could see A&M up there, but San Diego State.
But yeah, so that was a fun little list. I thought that was fun.
Kind of pissed me off though at some points, just to see like certain colleges that I've respected my whole life, and I'm like, who is that next to them? Is that Akron Zips? Is that Appalachian State? You're saying Appalachian State is on a level with Texas and Michigan and Stanford? Like those guys are like top 25 programs every year.
Maybe I'll kind of scour his account and see if he kind of gives
and
any.
Boise State, that's the worst, dude.
That's
Boise
egregious.
State on the same tier with Georgia and LSU.
That's egregious. I'm gonna kind of scroll and see if I can find any kind of reasoning on how he bases this. But
yeah,
I thought that was fun. You know, with college football,
people love rankings.
I love rankings.
I love rankings. I love lists.
I am people. I love rankings. So I thought that would be a fun little list for us to go through. But this is bringing us to the end of the show. We're right here at the end. We always end it with what are we watching and what are we listening to. I'm going to go first. As I talked about last show, I'm still watching the Euro 2020s.
Me too.
We're getting into money time now. We just had the round of 16 games. The reigning world champions, France, is out. Germany and Croatia are out, and Portugal. All of them are out, which is just it's just weird to have all those teams out, especially France going out to Switzerland. They lost at penalties.
Yeah, that was all. I got to see that.
England got a big win. against Germany, Germany's kind of owned them over the years. So it was kind of like a psychological thing for them to get that win.
Weren't they were at Wembley for that?
They were at Wembley.
So
yeah.
I mean, ultimate home crowd.
They
advantage.
haven't left home yet. They will for the quarters. They're going to Rome. I think they're going to play in Rome.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so dude, could you imagine what England was like last night after that match? I mean,
nothing but drinking and fucking.
Dude, in the streets.
In the streets. Freak in the streets.
So England's still alive, Italy's still alive, Belgium's still alive. So there's still some big hitters left.
You got anybody you're pulling for? Because once Croatia goes out, I'm a free agent.
Croatia's out.
I know. That's why I'm a free agent.
I want to go with England just because I've got some heritage there. And they haven't won anything since 1966, so that'd be kind of cool to see.
Really?
Yeah.
For such a, I would think, like, prestigious.
Well, it is. Yeah. They won the 66 World Cup and nothing since.
I might be pulling for England, man.
And then I've been listening to this podcast called Unraveled, The Stalker's Web. And
got some tips.
Huh?
Any tips?
Not tips you want. It's just a story about how this guy has ruined the lives of these women and men that he's kind of stalked and made their lives miserable. Just using everything from blackmail to extortion. It's just a really good, interesting series. Unfortunately for me, I like binging my podcast. I'm week to week on this one. And then I just took a chance on one called Relative Unknown. It was a story about It's a story about a Hell's Angel, but it's told from this woman's point of view, and the story's about her dad, who's a Hell's Angel, who turns out to flip and become a rat for the Hell's Angels, and then ends up killing his then wife and his stepson. So that's how the podcast opens, and then you're kind of working backwards from there. So it was really interesting. So Unraveled, Stalker's Web, and Relative Unknown are the two podcasts. If anybody needs any podcast suggestions.
Always
what do you got?
Podcast suggestions. My two podcasts were one's called Chameleon. It was about the Hollywood con queen. It's pretty wild because like it starts with these people and they would get like these phone calls and emails from someone claiming to be like a high rolling producer working for like they're an American producer. They always claim to be like these powerful women. So like Deb Snyder, Zack Snyder's wife, and this person would impersonate these women and be like, they would get like these low level like industry people like, hey, I'm a stuntman or I'm a choreographer, and they would be like, well, I want you for this new project, but you're gonna have to fly out to Indonesia on your own dime, and you're gonna have do all these film locations. And so they would fly across the world. They would spend just like tens of thousands of dollars, and nothing would ever come of it. They would just get like these phone calls from these people, and it turns out like it was just a big scam. But they're like, what's the scam? Like, I didn't give them any money. I'm just out airfare and time. And it turns out like, should I give a little away? Should I kind of give it away? You think anyone's going to listen to this?
I mean, other than me.
Okay. So the con queen, turns out they had all these accents. They're like, yeah, it's like a whole network of people, right? Because it's like 10 different people that I'm talking to at once. Well, it turns out it's just one person, and it's a guy, and he's just like this great voice actor. And he would be like, oh, like I'm the assistant, right? And I'm talking to you. Yeah, just fly out to Indonesia. We'll film this. It'll all be great. Here, let me put my boss on the phone. And then he would just get into another character, and he would transform into like a British woman or an Asian woman and talk on the phone. And they'd be like, I never knew. I thought I was talking to all these different women. Turns out you're talking to like one gay guy. Nothing wrong with that. He just happened to be gay. And I just want to make that clear. Nothing wrong with that. Love who you want to love. But it's just wild because it's like, what he got from this was like power, because he could tell you, he would know like you're a starving artist and you want this part, like you're a bit actor, and he'll be like, this is your one big break. I'm a big Hollywood hotshot and I'll get you to come out here. And he would hold that power over them. He would get them to spend all their money. He really wouldn't gain much. They'd be like, he might get $1,000, but they're like, he gets $1,000 from one person a week, and you multiply that. They found out he's been doing it for years, and it was just like this long game con. And it's like, he wouldn't make a lot of money, but he loved that power, and he would try to get people to like have phone sex with him and just like manipulate them, and he just wanted that power over them. So it's just really weird. It's just like a weird like manipulative like way to do it. The second one is just called Satanic Panic, and it's Canadian style. So this takes place in Martinsville, Saskatchewan, and it
I've listened
documents.
to it. It's good.
It's their own satanic panic, and it talks about like in later episodes, the Americans, and I mean it really was like it capped like all of North America was consumed by this satanic panic in the 80s and 90s, and kind of relates to the whole QAnon satanic panic we have now, which is like very parallel to that. We started a new season of 60 Days In. Have you ever seen that? It's where
I know what it is. Yeah.
People volunteer to go into jail, like county jail, and yeah, man, it's just wild to see. And I'll tell Claire, like, you know, like, man, it's kind of like that, you know, it's pretty wild in there. She always wants to hear my stories of my time, so I'll just make like little jokes.
That extensive time,
bro. One day I'll tell that story. That was the worst honeymoon ever. And then we had since we last recorded, we've had 2 sleepovers because we do it like we do it pretty much on Sunday nights now. The first one, the one we did like 2 weeks ago or last weekend, I guess. Me and Ellie slept on the couch because in that big sectional, and we watched Luca, that new Disney movie. It's really good, dude. It's just like teaches about like friendship and acceptance. Highly recommended. And then this past Sunday, we slept in. Ellie has a bunk bed, so Claire was actually on the top bunk, and me and Ellie blew up this. It's like a full-sized air mattress, and we slept on the bottom bunk, and we stayed up and watched The Good Dinosaur, the Pixar movie. And I had never seen that, and it was actually really good. It was like this alternate reality where, like, you know, the meteor never hit, so it's like dinosaurs were able to evolve and interact with humans, and the humans in this situation is almost like the pet to the dinosaur, who's almost like more human, and he gets separated and they have to go on this journey together, and it was really good, dude. I highly enjoyed it. And we're 1 week away from Big Brother. Big Brother starts next Wednesday.
Okay, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Okay, you got to put me on alert, so I'm...
Yeah, dude, come over. We might have to record like the next day because it's usually like a 2-hour first episode. It's like first episode and last episode are like 2 hours. So unless you want to record late, it'll be over at like 9 o'clock. But you're more than welcome to come over and watch it with me and Claire. I just don't know if you want to record that night or like record the next night.
We may record the next night because I definitely need like I need to watch it with you like the first time so I can get like, okay, this is the lay of the land.
Yeah.
This is what this is.
I can't wait to explain stuff to you. Like, I'm going to geek out so hard.
Okay, so next week.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Next Wednesday.
All right.
July 7th.
So yeah, that's going to do it for us. We wanted to try to unveil some new segments tonight. And if you heard my rant on Best Buy or UPS earlier tonight, we were supposed to get, because I ordered it from Best Buy.
Oh, okay.
We were supposed to get a new piece of equipment. We were supposed to get a new kind of mixer, like audio interface board.
Almost like a third member of the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
it really,
done so much.
It really is kind of a third member of the podcast. It's going to allow us to have up to 4 mics, 4 guests in-house. We're going to be able to take phone calls mid-podcast. We're going to be able to add audio drops, little sound bites. So that was supposed to come in, and we're gonna do some new segments. So we're probably gonna end up doing that next week. I should be able to get my hands on that mixer tomorrow. But yeah, so next week we're gonna have some new segments for you. We're gonna have some new goodies for you. Probably gonna be playing around with it like a kid with a new toy.
Yeah, gonna be like lots of fart noises,
fart drops, and applause and.
I can't wait to applaud ourselves.
I forget what it's called. It's like maybe sad trombones, like burr, 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 burr. Yeah. So all that kind of stuff. So we've got that coming for you. It was a huge investment for us, but we're committed to this thing. We enjoy doing it. It's the thing. It's one of the things we look forward to most.
If you only knew like the amount we dropped in the last like 2 weeks on that thing and our new mics, like that tells you how committed we are.
Yeah, and we, this is
sorry, wives.
Back seat to the podcast.
Yeah.
But no, this is episode 21. Our podcast is legal now. It can go buy a beer in public. It's been drinking since episode 13, but we don't want to talk about that. But no, episode 21, we couldn't do it without the support of our wives, and all the feedback that we get from you guys. It just drives us to do this more and more, and kind of gets us to the next episode. So, but we appreciate each and every one of you listening, every one of you that reaches out. It means a lot, and we thank you so much. But that's going to do it. So for Matt,
I'm Andrew.
We're out.